Billionaire CEO found his lost love on a bus. She was a single mum who didn't recognize him. Hello, viewer. Thanks for joining us. Leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments, along with the city you're watching from. Now let's continue with the story. Linda Morris had forgotten what it felt like to be someone's entire world. For 10 years, she had been invisible, a woman who disappeared into the background of grocery stores and office buildings, who counted pennies and prayed her car would start one more time. She had built walls so high around her heart that she had forgotten anyone had ever called her by a name that meant she was precious. But on a rainy Thursday afternoon, exhausted from a double shift and holding her sleeping 3-year-old son, she made a mistake that would change everything. She fell asleep on a stranger's shoulder. Except he was not a stranger. He was John Campbell, the billionaire who had spent a decade searching for the girl who had vanished from his life like smoke, the girl he had loved, the girl he had called Star. And when she opened her eyes to find him staring at her with a mixture of joy and devastation, Linda realized that some people do not forget. Some people do not let go. Some people spend their entire fortune and their entire life trying to find their way back to the person who made them feel like home. Star. Linda's eyes snapped open, her heart hammering against her ribs like a caged bird. The voice was impossible. A ghost from a life she had buried so deep that even her dreams had forgotten it. She jerked upright, nearly dropping Aaron, who stirred against her chest but did not wake. The man beside her was watching her with an expression she could not read. Dark hair, expensive suit, eyes the color of storm clouds, eyes she remembered as belonging to a skinny 17-year-old boy who used to climb through her bedroom window just to talk until sunrise. "I am sorry," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the rumble of the bus engine. "I did not mean to—" "Linda." His voice broke on her name. "Is it really you?" She stared at him, her mind struggling to reconcile the boy she had known with the man sitting beside her. John Campbell. It had to be. The same stubborn cowlick, the same way of tilting his head when he was trying to solve a problem. But everything else had changed. His shoulders were broader, his face sharper, his clothes worth more than she made in 6 months. "I do not understand," she said, shifting Aaron more securely in her arms. "What are you doing here?" "I take the bus sometimes," he said, and she could hear the careful control in his voice. "I like to think. I like to remember what it feels like to be normal." The bus lurched to a stop, and Linda realized with a start that they were at her corner. She stood quickly, gathering her purse and Aaron's backpack. "This is my stop," she said. "Linda, wait." He stood too, his hand reaching toward her, but stopping just short of touching her arm. "Please, can we talk?" She looked at him, this stranger who wore her best friend's face, and felt something crack open inside her chest. "I have to get him home. He has school tomorrow." "Tomorrow, then?" The hope in his voice was so naked it made her look away. "Please, Star. I have been looking for you for so long." The bus door hissed open. Linda stepped into the aisle, her legs unsteady beneath her. "I work at Morrison's Diner on 5th Street, the breakfast shift." "I will find you," he said, and she knew he would. The rain had stopped, but the sidewalk was still slick with October dampness. Linda walked the 3 blocks to her apartment building, her mind spinning. Aaron's weight in her arms felt heavier than usual. Or maybe it was the weight of the past that had suddenly crashed down on her shoulders. John Campbell. The last time she had seen him, he had been standing in her driveway, 17 years old and desperate, begging her not to leave. She had been 18, broken and terrified. Her parents had been dead for 6 months. The medical bills had consumed everything, and the state was threatening to take her away from the only home she had ever known. She had left in the middle of the night, taking only what she could carry and a promise to herself that she would never look back. She had kept that promise for 10 years, until today. Mama! Aaron stirred in her arms as she climbed the stairs to their second-floor apartment. Are we home? Yes, baby, she whispered, fumbling for her keys. We are home. But as she unlocked the door and stepped into their tiny one-bedroom apartment, Linda could not shake the feeling that home was no longer a place she could define so easily. Not when the boy, who had once been her entire world, was now a man who could buy and sell her life 1,000 times over. She set Aaron down on the couch and watched him rub his eyes sleepily. He looked so much like his father, it sometimes took her breath away, but tonight all she could see was the child she had been raising alone for 3 years, the child who deserved better than a mother who worked 2 jobs and still could not afford to give him everything he needed. I am hungry, Aaron said, and Linda forced herself to smile. I know, sweetheart. Let me make you something. She opened the refrigerator, mentally calculating what she could make from the meager contents. Eggs, some leftover bread, a few slices of cheese. It would have to be enough. It was always enough, because it had to be. As she cracked eggs into a pan, Linda found herself thinking about the boy who used to sit in her kitchen, helping her with homework, while her parents worked their evening shifts. He had been her constant companion, her best friend, the person who knew all her secrets and dreams. He had called her Star because she loved to lie on her back in the grass and count stars, and he had said she was the brightest one he had ever seen. But that girl was gone. She had died the night Linda packed her things and walked away from everything she had ever known. The woman who stood in this kitchen now was a stranger to that boy, and she intended to keep it that way. Mama, you look sad, Aaron said, climbing onto a chair at their small table. I'm just tired, Linda said, sliding scrambled eggs onto his plate. Eat your dinner. She watched him eat, his small hands working carefully with the fork she had taught him to use. He was a good boy, sweet and smart, and full of questions about the world. He deserved a father who would teach him how to throw a baseball and help him with his homework. He deserved a mother who could afford to buy him new clothes instead of shopping at thrift stores. He deserved so much more than she could give him. Tell me about the stars, Mama, Aaron said, the way he did every night. Linda sat down across from him, her own plate untouched. Once upon a time, she began, her voice soft, there was a little star who lived very far away from all the other stars. She was lonely, but she was also very bright, and she used all her light to help people find their way home. Did she ever find her way home? Aaron asked, the same question he always asked. I do not know, Linda said, the same answer she always gave. But I think she was brave enough to try. Aaron smiled, satisfied with the familiar story, and returned to his eggs. Linda watched him eat and tried not to think about the man on the bus who had looked at her as if she were still that bright star, still worth finding. But stars burn out eventually, and some of them fall so far from where they started that they can never find their way back to the sky. Linda's alarm went off at 4:30 in the morning, the same time it had gone off every weekday for the past 3 years. She lay in bed for exactly 30 seconds, allowing herself those precious moments of stillness before the day began its relentless demands. Aaron was still asleep beside her, his small body warm against her side, his breathing deep and even. She slipped out of bed carefully, her bare feet silent on the cold linoleum floor. The apartment was dark, but she knew every obstacle by heart, the stack of laundry by the door, the toy truck that Aaron always left in the middle of the floor, the loose floorboard that creaked if she stepped on it wrong. In the bathroom, she splashed cold water on her face and pulled her hair back into a ponytail. Her reflection stared back at her from the medicine cabinet mirror, 30 years old and looking every day of it. Dark circles under her eyes, worry lines around her mouth, skin that had not seen a day of leisure in longer than she could remember. She looked nothing like the girl who had once believed the world was full of possibilities. Mama? Aaron's voice was sleepy from the bedroom. Where are you going? To work, baby, she called softly, pulling on her uniform. The pale blue dress with Morrison's Diner embroidered over the breast pocket, the comfortable shoes that had seen better days, the apron that would soon be stained with coffee and syrup. "Mrs. Rodriguez will be here in a few minutes to take you to school." Aaron appeared in the doorway, his hair sticking up in all directions, his favorite stuffed elephant clutched in his arms. "Can I come with you?" "You have to go to school," Linda said, kneeling down to give him a hug. "Learn lots of things so you can be smart and strong." "I am already smart and strong," he said, flexing his tiny biceps. "You are," she agreed, kissing his forehead, "but you can always be smarter and stronger." She made him a quick breakfast of toast and orange juice, listening to him chatter about his plans for the day. He was going to finger paint in art class, and teacher Sarah was going to read them a story about dinosaurs, and at recess he was going to play on the swings with his friend Marcus. Normal 3-year-old concerns, normal 3-year-old joys. She had worked so hard to give him normal, even when her own life felt like anything but, "I love you, sweetheart," she said, grabbing her purse and keys. "Be good for Mrs. Rodriguez." "I love you too, Mama," Aaron said, already absorbed in his breakfast. Linda stepped out into the hallway just as Elena Rodriguez emerged from the apartment next door. Elena was 72, a retired teacher who had offered to help with Aaron when Linda started working double shifts. She refused to take more than $20 a week, claiming that Aaron kept her company and gave her something to do. "Morning, mija," Elena said, her voice warm despite the early hour. "How are you holding up?" "I am fine," Linda said, the automatic response that had become second nature. "Thank you for watching him." "That boy is a joy," Elena said, her eyes studying Linda's face with the keen attention of someone who had spent 40 years reading the emotions of children. "But you look tired, more tired than usual." Linda forced a smile. "Just a long day yesterday." "I should go." She hurried down the stairs before Elena could ask more questions. The older woman had a way of seeing through her careful composure, and Linda could not afford to fall apart. Not today. Not with the memory of John Campbell's storm-grey eyes threatening to undo all the walls she had built around her heart. The walk to Morrison's Diner took 15 minutes. 15 minutes of cold morning air and empty streets. Linda used the time to prepare herself for the day ahead, to push thoughts of the past back into the corner of her mind where they belonged. She had work to do, tables to serve, tips to earn. Aaron needed new winter clothes, and their rent was due next week. She could not afford to be distracted by ghosts. Morrison's Diner occupied a corner building that had seen better decades. The vinyl booths were patched with duct tape. The coffee machine wheezed like an old man climbing stairs, and the fluorescent lights flickered with epileptic persistence. But the food was good, the coffee was strong, and the regulars tipped well if you remembered how they liked their eggs. Linda had been working there for 2 years, ever since she moved to this neighborhood and needed a job that would work around Aaron's schedule. The owner, Frank Morrison, was a gruff man in his 60s who complained about everything but had never once docked her pay when she had to leave early for a sick child or a school conference. "You are late," he said when she walked through the back door, but there was no heat in his voice. "I'm 3 minutes early," Linda said, tying her apron around her waist. "That is late for you," Frank said, and she realized he was right. She was usually 10 minutes early, using the extra time to prep for the morning rush. "Sorry," she said, checking the coffee machine and grabbing a pot to start the first batch. "I had a rough night." "You look it," Frank said, not unkindly. "You sure you are okay?" Linda paused, her hand on the coffee filter. Frank was not the type to pry, which made his concern all the more noticeable. "I am fine." "Just tired." "Well, wake up fast," he said, nodding toward the front of the diner. "The breakfast crowd will be here soon, and Jenny called in sick again." Linda groaned inwardly. Jenny was the other morning waitress, a 22-year-old who treated her job like an inconvenience rather than a necessity. Working the morning shift alone meant Linda would be running from table to table for the next 4 hours, barely able to catch her breath. But she had done it before. She would do it again. "I can handle it," she said, and Frank nodded, already turning back to his prep work. The first customers arrived at 6 o'clock sharp, construction workers grabbing coffee and donuts before their shifts, office workers in wrinkled suits who looked like they had slept in their cars, early risers who treated the diner like their personal breakfast club. Linda moved between the tables with practiced efficiency, remembering orders without writing them down, keeping coffee cups filled and conversation light. It was almost 7:30 when she saw him. John Campbell sat in the corner booth, the same booth where old Mr. Henderson usually held court with his crossword puzzle. He was wearing jeans and a simple blue sweater, but even dressed down, he looked like he belonged in a boardroom rather than a diner with cracked vinyl and flickering lights. Their eyes met across the room, and Linda felt her carefully constructed composure wobble. He raised his hand in a small wave, and she realized she had been standing frozen in the middle of the floor, a coffee pot in her hand and a customer waiting for a refill. "You okay, hun?" asked Marge, a regular who came in every morning and ordered the same thing: 2 eggs over easy, wheat toast, and coffee black enough to strip paint. "Fine," Linda said, refilling Marge's cup with hands that shook slightly. "Just fine." But she was not fine. She was terrified because John Campbell was sitting in her diner, in her world, and she had no idea how to handle the collision of her past and present. She finished her rounds of the occupied tables, stalling for time, but eventually she had to approach him. He was, after all, a customer, and she was, after all, a waitress who needed the tip. "Good morning," she said, pulling out her order pad with professional efficiency. "What can I get you?" "Coffee," he said, his voice careful and measured, "and maybe a few minutes of your time." "I am working," Linda said, not meeting his eyes. "I cannot just chat with customers." "Then let me make it simple," John said. "I will order everything on the menu if that is what it takes for you to sit down with me." Despite herself, Linda almost smiled. "That would be a lot of food." "I can afford it," he said, and there was something in his tone that made her look at him sharply. "This is not about money," she said. "No," he agreed. "It is not. It is about the fact that you disappeared from my life 10 years ago, and I have spent every day since then wondering if you were okay. It is about the fact that I found you yesterday, and you are clearly not okay, and I want to help." "I do not need your help," Linda said, the words coming out sharper than she intended. "Everyone needs help sometimes," John said quietly. "Even you, Star." The nickname hit her like a physical blow. She had not heard it in 10 years, had not allowed herself to remember how it felt to be someone's star. For a moment, she was 18 again, standing in her childhood bedroom and trying to find the courage to say goodbye to the boy who loved her. "Do not call me that," she whispered. "It is who you are," he said. "No," Linda said, gripping her order pad so tightly her knuckles went white. "It is who I was. That girl is gone." "I do not believe that," John said, and the certainty in his voice made her chest ache. "Believe what you want," Linda said, pulling herself together with an effort that felt like lifting a truck. "But I am Linda Morris now. I am a waitress and a mother, and I have a job to do, so what do you want to eat?" John studied her for a long moment, and she could see him making a decision. "Pancakes," he said finally, "with bacon and orange juice." "Thank you," Linda said, writing down the order and turning to leave. "Linda," he said, and she stopped without turning around. "I am not going anywhere." She walked away without responding, but his words followed her to the kitchen and back again. He was not going anywhere. The boy who had once promised to wait for her forever was keeping his word, even though she had given him every reason to forget her. The problem was, she was not sure she remembered how to be found. The pancakes sat untouched on John's plate for 20 minutes while he watched Linda work. She moved through the diner like a dancer who had forgotten she was performing, her movements efficient and graceful, despite the obvious exhaustion in her shoulders. She refilled coffee cups, delivered plates, and smiled at customers with a warmth that never quite reached her eyes. She was avoiding him, and they both knew it. "You gonna eat those pancakes, or just stare at them?" Frank Morrison appeared beside the table, his gruff voice cutting through John's observations. "Because if you are not eating, you are taking up space that paying customers could use." John looked up at the older man, noting the protective stance and the way Frank's eyes kept drifting to Linda. "I am a paying customer. Not if you do not eat," Frank said, crossing his arms, "and you are making my best waitress nervous." "Your best waitress is an old friend," John said carefully. "I am not here to cause trouble." "Friends do not make friends look like they are about to throw up," Frank said bluntly. "So either eat your breakfast or leave. But stop staring at her like she's some kind of museum exhibit." John picked up his fork and took a bite of the pancakes. They were good, better than he had expected from a diner that looked like it had been decorated in the 1970s. "How long has she worked here?" 2 years, Frank said, not moving from beside the table. "She is a good worker, shows up on time, does not complain, takes care of the customers. I do not have many employees I can say that about." "She has a son," John said, and it was not a question. "Aaron," Frank said, and John could hear the affection in the older man's voice. "Good kid, comes in sometimes after school, sits at the counter and does his homework while his mama finishes her shift. Polite, smart, asks good questions." John nodded, processing this information. Linda had a son, a 3-year-old son who came to the diner after school and did homework at the counter. A son who existed in the life she had built without him. "His father around?" John asked, trying to keep his voice casual. Frank's expression hardened. "That is not your business." "You are right," John said, raising his hands in surrender. "I am sorry. I am just trying to understand." "Understand what?" "How she ended up here," John said, gesturing around the diner. "She was brilliant, Frank. She could have done anything, been anything. She had scholarships, opportunities, dreams. Dreams do not pay the bills," Frank said, but his voice had lost some of its edge. "And sometimes life happens, whether you are ready for it or not." "What happened to her?" John asked, and he could hear the desperation in his own voice. Frank studied him for a long moment. "You really do not know, do you?" "She left," John said simply. "One day she was there, and the next day she was gone. No note, no explanation, nothing. I looked for her everywhere, hired investigators, checked every database I could access. It was like she just vanished." "Maybe she had reasons," Frank said. "Maybe she did," John agreed, "but I never got to hear them." Frank glanced over at Linda, who was taking an order from a table of businessmen near the window. She was smiling, but John could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her hand trembled slightly as she wrote. "She does not talk about the past," Frank said finally, "but she works harder than anyone I have ever met. 2 jobs, 7 days a week, never complains. She is a good mother, a good person. Whatever happened between you two, do not come in here and mess up the life she has built." "I do not want to mess up her life," John said. "I want to help her." "Same thing sometimes," Frank said, and walked away before John could respond. John finished his pancakes slowly, thinking about Frank's words. The older man was right, of course. John's arrival had already disrupted Linda's carefully controlled world. The question was whether that disruption would ultimately help or hurt her. He left a $20 tip on a $10 meal and walked to the counter where Linda was ringing up another customer. She looked up as he approached, and he saw her steel herself for the conversation. "Thank you for breakfast," he said. "You are welcome," she said, her voice professionally polite. "Will that be all?" "For now," he said, and saw her shoulders relax slightly. "But I would like to take you to lunch. You and Aaron." "I work lunch shifts too," Linda said quickly, "at the hotel downtown. I do not have time for lunch." "Dinner then," John said. "Or just coffee?" "5 minutes, Linda." "That is all I am asking." "I cannot," she said, but he could hear the uncertainty in her voice. "Cannot or will not?" he asked gently. Linda looked at him for a long moment, and he saw something shift in her expression. A crack in the wall, small but significant. "I get off at 2, she said finally. "There is a park 3 blocks east of here, Arlington Park. Aaron likes the swings." "I will find it," John said. "Do not bring anything expensive," Linda said. "Do not try to impress us. Just be normal." John smiled, the first genuine smile he had felt in years. "I will try to remember how." Linda watched him leave, then turned back to her work. But for the first time in years, she found herself watching the clock, counting down the hours until 2 o'clock. She told herself it was just closure she was seeking, a chance to explain why she had left, to help him understand that she had never meant to hurt him. But deep down, in a place she had tried to lock away, she knew it was more than that. She was curious about the man he had become. She wanted to know if he still liked to read science fiction novels until dawn, if he still made terrible jokes when he was nervous, if he still believed that the world was full of problems that could be solved with enough intelligence and determination. She wanted to know if any part of the boy she had loved was still there, buried underneath the expensive clothes and the weight of success. And she was terrified of what she might find. Arlington Park was smaller than John had expected. A modest patch of green space wedged between 2 residential streets. The playground equipment was old but well maintained, the kind of sturdy metal structures that had been built to last decades rather than years. A few mothers sat on benches watching their children play, and an elderly man fed pigeons near a small pond. John arrived early, wanting to observe the environment before Linda and Aaron showed up. He had spent the morning researching the neighborhood, trying to understand the life Linda had built for herself. The apartment building where she lived was in a working-class area, not dangerous but not particularly prosperous either. The schools were decent but underfunded, the kind of place where teachers did their best with limited resources. It was a far cry from the life she could have had. "Mama, there is the swings!" Aaron's voice carried across the park, and John turned to see them approaching. Aaron was running ahead, his small legs pumping with excitement, while Linda followed at a more measured pace. She had changed out of her uniform into jeans and a simple sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders. She looked younger, more like the girl he remembered, but there was a wariness in her posture that had never been there before. "Aaron, slow down," she called, but her voice was gentle. "Remember what we talked about? This is Mama's friend from when she was little." Aaron skidded to a stop in front of John, his eyes wide with curiosity. "Are you really a billionaire?" "Aaron!" Linda's voice was sharp with embarrassment. "We do not ask people about money." "Sorry, Mama," Aaron said, but he continued to stare at John with unabashed interest. "You do not look like a billionaire." John knelt down to Aaron's level, suppressing a smile. "What do billionaires look like?" "Bigger," Aaron said seriously, "and they wear crowns." "That is kings," Linda said, joining them. "Billionaires are just people with lots of money." "Why do you have lots of money?" Aaron asked John. "I invented some things that people wanted to buy." John said. Like computer programs that help doctors take better care of sick people. That is cool, Aaron said, apparently satisfied with this explanation. Can I swing now? Go ahead, Linda said, settling onto a bench near the playground. But stay where I can see you. John sat beside her, careful to maintain a respectful distance. They watched Aaron climb onto a swing and begin pumping his legs with determination. He is beautiful, John said quietly. He is everything, Linda said, and the love in her voice was unmistakable. Smart, funny, kind, he makes friends everywhere we go. He looks like you, John said. He has his father's eyes, Linda said, and then seemed to realize what she had revealed. His father is not in the picture. I am sorry, John said. Do not be, Linda said, her voice firm. We are better off without him. They sat in silence for a while, watching Aaron play. Other children had joined him on the playground, and he was already chatting with a little girl about his age, sharing the swing set with the easy generosity of childhood. You are good with him, John said eventually. I try, Linda said. Some days are harder than others. When he asks why we cannot afford new toys, or why we do not have a car, or why other kids have daddies and he does not, I do not always know what to say. You are doing better than you think, John said. He is happy, healthy, well-adjusted. That does not happen by accident. Linda looked at him sideways, studying his profile. You would know about that, would you not? About what it takes to raise a child without enough resources. John nodded. My mom did her best, but we struggled. I remember being embarrassed about our apartment, about the holes in my shoes, about having to use food stamps at the grocery store. But you made it, Linda said. You became successful. I got lucky, John said, and I had help. Teachers who believed in me, a guidance counselor who helped me apply for scholarships, friends who supported me when I wanted to give up. Friends like me, Linda said quietly. Yes, John said. Friends like you. Aaron's voice interrupted them, calling for Linda to watch him go down the slide. She waved and cheered as he navigated the playground equipment, but John could see the tension in her shoulders, the way she constantly scanned the area for potential dangers. You are exhausted, he said. I am fine, Linda said automatically. When was the last time you did something just for yourself? John asked. Something that had nothing to do with work or Aaron or responsibilities? Linda considered this for a long moment. I cannot remember, she said finally. That is what I thought, John said. Linda, you are going to burn out if you keep this up, working 7 days a week, never taking a break, never asking for help. It is not sustainable. I do not have a choice, Linda said, her voice tight. Aaron needs food, shelter, clothes, medical care. I am all he has. But you do not have to do it alone, John said. There are people who would help you, if you let them. Linda turned to look at him fully, her eyes flashing with anger. People like you, rich people who think they can solve problems by throwing money at them. That is not what I meant, John said. Is it not? Linda stood up, her hands clenched at her sides. You show up here with your expensive clothes and your offers to help, and you think that makes everything better. But where were you 3 years ago when I was pregnant and alone? Where were you when I was working 3 jobs just to afford prenatal care? Where were you when Aaron was born and I had no one to call, no one to help me figure out how to be a mother? I was looking for you, John said, standing as well. I never stopped looking for you. Well, you did not look hard enough, Linda said, and the words hit him like a physical blow. You are right, he said after a moment. I should have found you sooner. I should have tried harder, been smarter, done something different. But I am here now, and I want to help. I do not want your help, Linda said, but her voice lacked conviction. Yes, you do, John said gently. You just do not know how to ask for it. Mama. Aaron's voice was small, uncertain. He had stopped playing and was looking at them with wide eyes. "Are you okay?" Linda immediately composed herself, her face smoothing into a reassuring smile. "I am fine, baby, just having a grown-up conversation." "Are you fighting?" Aaron asked. "No," Linda said, glancing at John. "We are just talking about old times." Aaron seemed satisfied with this explanation and returned to his play, but John could see that the moment had shaken Linda. She sat back down on the bench, her shoulders sagging with exhaustion. "I am sorry," she said quietly. "I should not have yelled at you." "You have every right to be angry," John said, settling beside her again. "I just wish I understood why you left." Linda was quiet for a long moment, watching Aaron play. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "My parents died in a car accident," she said, 6 months before graduation. Drunk driver ran a red light, hit them head on. They were coming home from my father's second job, the one he took to help pay for my college. John felt the breath leave his lungs. "Linda, I am so sorry. I had no idea." "The medical bills were enormous," Linda continued, her voice flat and emotionless. "Even with insurance, the debt was crushing. I had to sell everything, the house, the car, my mother's jewelry. It was not enough. I was 18, about to graduate, and I was facing bankruptcy." "Why did you not tell me?" John asked. "I would have helped. My family would have helped." "Your family was barely getting by themselves," Linda said, "and I was too proud to ask. I thought I could handle it on my own." "So you left," John said, understanding beginning to dawn. "I left," Linda confirmed. "I moved to a different state, changed my name, started over. I thought it would be easier than staying and watching everyone I loved feel sorry for me." "Changed your name?" John asked. "Linda Morris used to be Linda Martinez," she said. "Morris was my mother's maiden name. I thought it would help me disappear." "It worked," John said, the words bitter in his mouth. "I was looking for Linda Martinez. I never thought to search for Linda Morris." "I know," Linda said. "I counted on that." They sat in silence again, the weight of lost years settling between them. John felt a mixture of grief and anger and understanding, emotions too complex to untangle. "I would have waited," he said finally. "If you had told me what was happening, I would have waited for you." "I know," Linda said, and there were tears in her voice. "That was the problem. You had your whole life ahead of you, scholarships, opportunities, dreams. I could not ask you to put that on hold for someone who might never be able to give you the life you deserved." "That should have been my choice," John said. "You were 17, Linda said. "You did not know what you were choosing." "I knew I loved you," John said. "And I loved you," Linda said, the words coming out in a rush. "I loved you so much that I was willing to break both our hearts to give you a chance at happiness. Look how that turned out," John said. But there was no bitterness in his voice, only sadness. "You are successful," Linda said. "You have everything you ever wanted." "I do not have you," John said simply. Linda looked at him then, really looked at him, and for a moment he saw the girl he had fallen in love with all those years ago. The girl who had dreamed of changing the world, who had believed that love could conquer anything. "I am not that girl anymore," she said, as if reading his thoughts. "No," John agreed. "You are not. You are stronger, braver, more resilient than she ever was. You are a woman who has survived things that would have broken most people, who has raised a beautiful child on her own, who has built a life from nothing." "A life that barely pays the bills," Linda said. "A life that matters," John corrected. "A life that has meaning and purpose and love." Aaron's laughter drifted across the playground, and they both turned to watch him. He was playing with 3 other children now, some elaborate game that involved running in circles and making airplane noises. "He is happy," John observed. He is, Linda said, and there was pride in her voice. Despite everything, he is happy. Because of you, John said. Because I try, Linda said. Every day I try to be enough for him. You are enough, John said. You have always been enough. Linda felt tears prick her eyes, but she blinked them back. She had spent so many years believing she was not enough, not smart enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough. Hearing John say those words felt like a gift she was afraid to accept. I should go, she said, standing up. Aaron has homework, and I have to get ready for my evening shift. Evening shift? John asked. I clean offices downtown, Linda said. 3 nights a week. It is not much, but it helps. John wanted to say something, to offer help, to insist that she did not have to work so hard, but Frank's words echoed in his mind, and he held his tongue. She had built this life on her own terms, and he had no right to judge her choices. Thank you, he said instead, for talking to me, for giving me a chance to understand. Thank you for finding me, Linda said quietly, even if I did not want to be found. Aaron, she called, time to go. Aaron ran over, his cheeks flushed with exertion and joy. Can we come back tomorrow? We will see, Linda said, taking his hand. Say goodbye to Mr. Campbell. Bye, Mr. Campbell, Aaron said, then looked up at John with serious eyes. Will you come back too? John glanced at Linda, who was studying the ground. If your mother says it is okay. Is it okay, Mama? Aaron asked. Linda looked at John for a long moment, and he saw her making a decision. Yes, she said finally. It is okay. Tomorrow? Aaron asked hopefully. Tomorrow, John confirmed, and Aaron grinned. As they walked away, John heard Aaron chattering to his mother about the new friends he had made and the game they had played. Linda's responses were warm and engaged, all traces of their earlier tension gone. She was a good mother, he realized, maybe the best mother Aaron could have asked for, but she was also a woman who had been carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders for too long, and if she would let him, John wanted to help her carry it. He just had to figure out how to do it without making her feel like he was trying to save her, because Linda Morris did not need saving. She needed partnership. She needed someone who understood that her strength was not a burden to be relieved, but a gift to be celebrated. She needed someone who could see her not as a charity case, but as the remarkable woman she had become. And John intended to be that someone, if she would let him. The Grandview Hotel was a relic from the 1930s, all marble floors and crystal chandeliers that had seen better decades. Linda pushed her cleaning cart through the lobby at 10 o'clock at night, when the hotel was quiet, except for the occasional guest returning from dinner or a business meeting. She had been working here for 8 months, 3 nights a week, earning enough to help cover Aaron's daycare costs and keep them afloat when the diner was slow. She liked the solitude of the night shift, the way the building settled into peaceful quiet after the chaos of the day. It gave her time to think, to process the complications that had entered her life in the form of John Campbell. 2 days had passed since their meeting in the park, and she had not seen him again. Part of her was relieved, part of her was disappointed. All of her was confused. She had replayed their conversation a dozen times, analyzing every word, every gesture, every moment when their eyes had met. He had looked at her with such intensity, such careful attention, as if he were trying to memorize her face, as if he were afraid she might disappear again. And maybe she would. Maybe it would be easier for everyone if she took Aaron and moved to another city, started over again. She had done it before, she could do it again, but Aaron was settled here. He had friends, a school he loved, a routine that made him feel secure, and she was tired of running. "Linda," a voice called from across the lobby, and she looked up to see Robert Kim, the night manager approaching with a clipboard. "How are you doing tonight?" "Fine, Mr. Kim," Linda said, straightening up from where she had been wiping down a side table. "Just finishing up the lobby." "Good, good," Robert said, but she could tell he had something else on his mind. "Listen, I wanted to talk to you about something. We have had a guest request you specifically for housekeeping services." "Request me?" Linda asked, confused. "I do not do housekeeping. I just clean the common areas." "I know, but this guest is willing to pay a premium for private cleaning services. He has a suite on the top floor, and he wants someone reliable, someone trustworthy. I thought of you immediately." Linda frowned. "What kind of premium?" $500, Robert said. "For one evening's work. Deep cleaning, organizing, that sort of thing." Linda's heart stopped. $500 was more than she made in 2 weeks at the diner. It was Aaron's daycare for a month, or new winter clothes, or the car repair she had been putting off. "Who is the guest?" she asked. "I cannot give you his name," Robert said. "Privacy policy. But he is a regular, stays with us whenever he is in town. Very wealthy, very discreet. He specifically asked for you." A chill ran down Linda's spine. "How would he know to ask for me?" "I do not know," Robert admitted, "but he did. So what do you say? Are you interested?" Linda hesitated. The money was tempting, desperately needed, but something about the situation felt wrong. Wealthy guests did not typically request specific cleaning staff by name unless they had encountered them before. "I need to think about it," she said finally. "Of course," Robert said, "but do not take too long. He wants the work done tomorrow evening, and if you are not interested, I will have to find someone else." Linda nodded and returned to her cleaning, but her mind was racing. $500. It was too much for a simple cleaning job, which meant there was something else the guest wanted, something that had nothing to do with housekeeping. She finished her shift quickly and drove home in her battered Honda Civic, the one that made worrying noises when she turned corners. Aaron was asleep at Elena's apartment, and she would pick him up in the morning before her shift at the diner. For now, she had a few hours to herself, a luxury she rarely enjoyed. She made a cup of tea and sat at her small kitchen table, staring at the bills that were stacked in a neat pile beside her laptop. Rent, utilities, groceries, daycare, car insurance, health insurance. The numbers never seemed to add up, no matter how many times she recalculated them. $500 would make a difference. A real difference. But at what cost? Her phone buzzed with a text message, and she glanced at it expecting to see something from Elena about Aaron. Instead, she saw a number she did not recognize. "This is John. I got your number from Frank. I hope that is okay. I wanted to thank you for yesterday." Linda stared at the message for a long moment, her finger hovering over the reply button. She had not expected him to contact her so soon, or at all. Part of her had hoped he would take the hint and leave her alone. Part of her had hoped he would not. "It is okay," she typed back. "Thank you for listening." Her phone buzzed again almost immediately. "Would you like to have coffee tomorrow? Just coffee, nothing complicated." Linda found herself smiling despite her confusion. "I work tomorrow. After work then, or before work, or during your break. I am flexible." "You are persistent," she typed. "I am hopeful," came the reply. Linda set her phone down and walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, John Campbell was probably sitting in an expensive hotel suite or a luxury apartment, typing messages to her on a phone that cost more than she made in a month. He was part of a world she had never belonged to, even when they were young. But he was also the boy who had held her hand during her mother's funeral, who had helped her study for calculus tests, who had promised to wait for her forever. Her phone buzzed again. "I am not trying to complicate your life, Linda. I just want to be your friend." "Friend?" she typed back. "That sounds nice." So, coffee. Linda looked around her tiny apartment, at the bills on the table and the second-hand furniture, and the life she had built with her own 2 hands. It was not much, but it was hers, and maybe, just maybe, it was enough to share with someone who had once known her when she believed in possibilities. Coffee, she typed. Tomorrow at 3, there is a place called Cornerstone Cafe on Maple Street. I will be there, came the immediate reply. Linda turned off her phone and went to bed, but she lay awake for a long time, thinking about the guest at the hotel who had requested her by name, and about the boy who had become a billionaire but still wanted to buy her coffee. Both situations felt dangerous in their own ways. Both offered something she needed, money and connection, security and understanding, but which one would cost her more than she was willing to pay? She fell asleep with that question on her mind and dreamed of stars falling from the sky, burning bright and beautiful as they crashed to earth. The Cornerstone Cafe occupied a narrow space between a used bookstore and a vintage clothing shop, the kind of place that survived on the loyalty of regulars and the charm of mismatched furniture. Linda arrived first, choosing a table near the window where she could watch the street and collect her thoughts before John arrived. She had changed clothes 3 times before leaving her apartment, finally settling on dark jeans and a blue sweater that Elena had bought her for Christmas. She told herself it was not vanity, just the desire to look presentable. But the truth was more complicated than that. She wanted to look good for him. She wanted him to see that she was still the girl he had cared about, even if that girl had been changed by circumstances beyond her control. John arrived exactly at 3, pausing in the doorway to scan the cafe until he spotted her. He was dressed casually again, jeans and a green button-down shirt that brought out the color of his eyes. He looked tired, she noticed, with dark circles under his eyes and a tension in his shoulders that spoke of sleepless nights. "Thank you for coming," he said, sliding into the chair across from her. "Thank you for asking," Linda replied, surprised by how much she meant it. A waitress approached their table, a young woman with purple hair and multiple piercings, who looked like she belonged in the bookstore next door rather than serving coffee. "What can I get you?" "Coffee, black," John said. "Latte with an extra shot," Linda said, "and a chocolate chip cookie." The waitress nodded and disappeared toward the counter, leaving them alone with the quiet hum of conversation from other tables and the soft jazz playing overhead. "So," John said, his hands wrapped around his coffee cup, "tell me about your life. The real version, not the summary you gave me yesterday." Linda laughed, a sound that surprised them both. "That is a long story." "I have time," John said. "I have all the time in the world." Linda studied his face, looking for signs of the boy she had known in the features of the man sitting across from her. "You first," she said. "What happened after I left? What was your life like?" John was quiet for a moment, gathering his thoughts. "Angry?" he said finally. "I was angry for a long time. At you, at the world, at myself for not being able to find you. I threw myself into school, into work, into anything that would keep me from thinking about what I had lost." "And it worked?" Linda asked. "For a while," John said. "I graduated valedictorian, got into MIT on a full scholarship, started a company before I was 25. Everyone said I was brilliant, driven, destined for success. But I was just running from the fact that the most important person in my life had disappeared." "John," Linda said softly, and he held up a hand to stop her. "I am not telling you this to make you feel guilty," he said. "I am telling you because I want you to understand that success does not mean happiness. I built a billion-dollar company, but I never learned how to build a life that meant anything." "What do you mean?" Linda asked. "I mean I have no friends who knew me before I had money," John said. I mean, I have never been in love with anyone the way I was in love with you. I mean, I have spent 10 years achieving everything I thought I wanted, and none of it mattered because the person I wanted to share it with was gone. The waitress returned with their order, setting down Linda's latte and cookie with a smile. Linda wrapped her hands around the warm cup, using the gesture to hide the tremor in her fingers. "That is not fair," she said when the waitress had gone. "What is not fair?" John asked. "Putting that on me," Linda said. "Making me responsible for your happiness. I made the best decision I could with the information I had. I was 18, John. I was alone and scared and trying to figure out how to survive." "You are right," John said immediately. "I am sorry. I did not mean to make you feel guilty. I just wanted you to know that leaving did not solve anything for either of us." Linda took a sip of her latte, grateful for the warmth and the caffeine. "Tell me about your company," she said, changing the subject. "What do you do?" "Medical technology," John said. "Software that helps doctors diagnose diseases, manage patient care, coordinate treatment plans. We started with a simple program that helped emergency room doctors make faster decisions, and it grew from there." "That is amazing," Linda said, and she meant it. "You are helping people." "I am making money," John said. "The helping people part is a nice side effect." "Do not do that," Linda said sharply. "Do not minimize what you have accomplished. You built something that matters, something that makes a difference. That is more than most people can say." John looked at her with surprise. "You really believe that?" "I believe you always wanted to change the world," Linda said. "I believe you found a way to do it. I believe you should be proud of what you have built." "Even if it did not bring me happiness?" John asked. "Happiness is not the only measure of a life well lived," Linda said. "Sometimes meaning is more important than happiness." "Is that what you tell yourself?" John asked gently, "when you're working 7 days a week and barely making ends meet?" Linda's hand tightened on her coffee cup. "I am happy," she said defensively. "I have Aaron. I have a job. I have a roof over my head. That is more than a lot of people have." "But what about your dreams?" John asked. "What about the girl who wanted to be a teacher, who wanted to help kids learn to love reading?" Linda felt something twist in her chest. "That girl was a luxury I could not afford." "She was the best part of you," John said. "She was naive," Linda corrected. "She believed the world was fair, that hard work and good intentions were enough to guarantee success. She learned better." "What if she was right?" John asked. "What if hard work and good intentions are enough, but you just need more support to make them work?" Linda laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Support from whom? From you, from the universe, from the fairy godmother who never showed up." "From me," John said simply. "If you will let me," Linda set down her coffee cup and looked at him across the table. "What are you asking, John?" "I am asking to be part of your life," he said. "Not as a savior, not as a solution to your problems, but as a friend, as someone who cares about you and Aaron and wants to see you both happy." "And what does that look like?" Linda asked. "What does John Campbell's version of friendship involve?" "I do not know," John admitted. "I have never been friends with someone I was once in love with. I have never tried to navigate the space between past and present, between what was and what could be. But I want to try." "Why?" Linda asked. "Why now, after all these years?" "Because I found you," John said. "Because you are still the most interesting person I have ever met. Because your son is beautiful and smart and deserves to have people in his life who care about him. Because you are working yourself to death and I have resources that could help if you would let me." "And what do you get out of it?" Linda asked. "The chance to be useful," John said. "The chance to matter to someone who matters to me. The chance to build something real instead of just building wealth. Linda broke off a piece of her cookie and ate it slowly, thinking, "What if it does not work?" she asked. "What if we try to be friends and it gets complicated? What if one of us wants more than the other can give?" "Then we will figure it out," John said, "together." "I cannot give you more than friendship," Linda said. "I do not have the emotional bandwidth for anything complicated. Aaron has to come first, always." "I understand," John said. "Aaron should come first." "Any man who does not understand that does not deserve to be in your life. And you are not trying to buy me," Linda said. "You are not trying to solve my problems with money." "I am trying to be your friend," John repeated. "Friends help each other. Sometimes that help is emotional, sometimes it is practical, sometimes it is financial. But it is always offered freely, without strings attached." Linda studied his face, looking for signs of insincerity or hidden agenda. But all she saw was the boy who had once known her better than anyone, who had held her when she cried and celebrated her victories as if they were his own. "Okay," she said finally, "we can try." "Okay?" John asked, as if he could not believe she had agreed. "Okay," Linda confirmed, but slowly and carefully and with clear boundaries. "Whatever you need," John said. Linda smiled, the first genuine smile she had given him since he had walked back into her life. "I need a friend," she said. "I have not had one of those in a long time." "Neither have I," John said. "I guess we will have to figure it out together." "I guess we will," Linda agreed. Outside the cafe window, the afternoon sun was beginning to set, painting the street in shades of gold and amber. Linda watched the light play across John's face and felt something shift inside her chest, something that had been closed for so long she had forgotten it existed. Hope. Small and fragile, but real. Maybe, just maybe, she could have both security and connection. Maybe she could build a life that included friendship and support without losing her independence. Maybe she could let someone help her carry the weight of the world, just a little bit. And maybe, if she was very careful and very lucky, she could do it without losing herself in the process. Linda's phone was buzzing insistently when she walked into her apartment that evening, the sound cutting through the quiet that Aaron's absence always left behind. He was spending the night at Elena's, a rare treat that Linda had arranged so she could work her evening shift at the hotel without worrying about bedtime routines. "Hello," she answered, not recognizing the number. "Linda Morris." The voice was crisp, professional, unfamiliar. "This is Patricia Henley from Henley and Associates. I represent a client who would like to discuss a business proposition with you." Linda sank into her kitchen chair, exhaustion settling into her bones. "I think you have the wrong number. I am not in business." "You work at the Grandview Hotel," Patricia said. "My client has a proposition that could be quite lucrative for someone in your position." A chill ran down Linda's spine. "Who is your client?" "I am not at liberty to say over the phone," Patricia said, "but he's willing to meet with you tomorrow evening to discuss the details. The compensation would be substantial." "I am not interested," Linda said quickly. $50,000, Patricia said, and Linda's breath caught. "For one evening's work, very discreet, very professional." Linda's mind raced. $50,000 was more money than she had ever seen in one place. It was a year's worth of rent, Aaron's college fund, a car that did not break down every month. "What kind of work?" she asked, hating herself for the question. "Companionship," Patricia said. "My client is a lonely man who enjoys intelligent conversation and attractive company. Nothing inappropriate, I assure you. Simply dinner and conversation." Linda felt sick. "I am not that kind of person." "My client seems to think otherwise," Patricia said. He has been watching you, Linda. He knows about your financial situation, your son, your struggles. He wants to help. By paying me to be his companion. Linda's voice was sharp with anger. By offering you a solution to your problems. Patricia said, $50,000, Linda. Think about what that could mean for your son's future. Linda hung up the phone and immediately dialed John's number, her hands shaking. Linda, he answered on the first ring. Are you okay? I think someone is trying to buy me, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. What do you mean? John's voice was sharp with concern. Linda told him about the hotel guest who had requested her specifically, about Patricia Henley and her mysterious client, about the $50,000 that was being offered for companionship. Jesus, Linda, John said when she finished. You are not seriously considering this. $50,000, John, Linda said. Do you know what I could do with $50,000? I know what it would cost you, John said, and it is not worth it. Easy for you to say, Linda snapped. You have never had to choose between your dignity and your child's future. You are right, John said quietly. I have not, but I know you, Linda. I know this is not who you are. Maybe you do not know me as well as you think, Linda said. Then let me know you better, John said. Let me help you find another way. There is no other way, Linda said, tears threatening. I am drowning, John. I am working 7 days a week and I still cannot get ahead. Aaron needs so much and I cannot give it to him. What if you could? John asked. What if there was a way to give Aaron everything he needs without compromising yourself? What are you talking about? Linda asked. Marry me, John said, and the words hung in the air between them like a challenge. Linda's heart stopped. What? Marry me, John repeated. A business arrangement. I get a family. You get financial security. Aaron gets everything he needs. No one gets hurt. John, that is insane, Linda said. We just agreed to be friends. Friends can get married, John said. People do it all the time. Not people like us, Linda said. Not people with our history. Especially people with our history, John said. We know each other, Linda. We trust each other. We care about each other. That is more than most marriages start with. Linda was quiet for a long moment, her mind spinning. I have to go, she said finally. I have to think. Linda, wait, John said. Do not do anything about the hotel situation until we talk. Please, I will not, Linda said. I promise. She hung up the phone and stared at it, her mind reeling. In the span of 10 minutes, she had been propositioned by a stranger and proposed to by the only man she had ever loved. Both offers felt equally impossible. She made herself a cup of tea and sat at her kitchen table, staring at the stack of bills that never seemed to shrink. $50,000 would solve everything, at least temporarily, but at what cost? And marriage to John, even a business arrangement, felt like opening a door she had spent 10 years trying to keep closed. Her phone buzzed with a text message from John. I am sorry. I should not have said that. Can we talk tomorrow? Linda typed back, yes. Tomorrow. But as she got ready for bed, she could not stop thinking about the desperation in his voice when he had offered to marry her. It had not sounded like a business proposition. It had sounded like a man who was drowning in his own loneliness, reaching for anything that might save him. The question was, who was really rescuing whom? The next morning brought an unexpected visitor to Morrison's diner. Linda was refilling coffee cups during the breakfast rush when she looked up to see a woman in an expensive suit standing by the hostess station. The woman was tall, blonde, and beautiful in the way that money could buy. Perfect teeth, flawless skin, designer clothes that probably cost more than Linda made in a month. Excuse me, the woman said, approaching Linda with a smile that did not reach her eyes. Are you Linda Morris? Yes, Linda said cautiously. Can I help you? I am Victoria Ashford, the woman said, extending a manicured hand. I believe you know my fiancé, John Campbell. Linda felt the blood drain from her face. Fiancé? Well, unofficial fiancé, Victoria said with a laugh that sounded like breaking glass. But we have been together for 2 years now. I'm sure he has mentioned me. He has not, Linda said, her voice barely audible. How interesting, Victoria said, her smile sharpening. He has mentioned you, though, the old friend who disappeared, the one he could never quite get over. Linda looked around the diner, grateful that the morning rush was keeping the other customers occupied. What do you want? I want to make sure we understand each other, Victoria said. John is going through a difficult time right now. He is nostalgic, emotional, making decisions that are not in his best interests. I would hate for him to do something he would regret. I do not know what you're talking about, Linda said. I am talking about the fact that he spent $50,000 yesterday to buy out someone's contract, Victoria said. Someone who was trying to hire you for an evening's work. Someone who was apparently willing to pay quite a lot for your company. Linda's stomach dropped. How do you know about that? I know about everything that concerns John, Victoria said, including his sudden interest in playing white knight to a woman who clearly has not made the best choices in life. My choices are none of your business, Linda said, her voice growing stronger. They are when they affect the man I am going to marry, Victoria said. John is worth $3 billion, Linda. Do you have any idea how many women would do anything to get their hands on that kind of money? I'm not one of them, Linda said. Are you not? Victoria asked. A single mother, working multiple jobs, struggling to make ends meet, and suddenly the richest man she has ever known walks back into her life, offering to help. It is a very convenient coincidence. It was not convenient, Linda said. It was complicated. I am sure it was, Victoria said. But let me make this simple for you. John is going to marry me. We have a life together, a future planned. We move in the same circles, understand the same pressures, share the same goals. We are suited for each other in ways that you could never be. Then why are you here? Linda asked. If you are so confident in your relationship, why do you need to threaten me? I am not threatening you, Victoria said. I am offering you a gift, the gift of clarity. You can continue to let John feel guilty about your circumstances. Let him throw money at your problems out of some misguided sense of obligation. Or you can set him free to live the life he deserves. The life he deserves, Linda repeated. With you. With someone who understands his world, Victoria said. Someone who can be a real partner, not a charity case. The words hit Linda like a physical blow, but she forced herself to stand straighter. I think you should leave. I think you should consider what I have said, Victoria replied. John is a good man, but he is also a sentimental one. He will sacrifice his own happiness out of loyalty to the past. Do not let him do that. Victoria turned and walked away, leaving Linda standing in the middle of the diner with her heart pounding and her hands shaking. She excused herself and hurried to the bathroom, where she splashed cold water on her face and tried to process what had just happened. John had bought out the contract. He had spent $50,000 to protect her from a situation she had been considering accepting, and he had done it without telling her, without asking her permission, without considering how it might make her feel, like a charity case. Linda? Frank's voice came through the bathroom door. You okay in there? You have been gone for 10 minutes. I am fine, Linda called back, though she was anything but fine. Just give me a minute. She looked at herself in the mirror, seeing the woman Victoria had described, tired, desperate, struggling. A woman who worked in a diner and cleaned hotel rooms, who could not afford to buy her son new clothes, who had been so tempted by $50,000 that she had actually considered selling herself for it. Was that really who she had become? When she emerged from the bathroom, Frank was waiting for her, his expression concerned. "What happened out there?" he asked. "You look like you have seen a ghost." "Something like that," Linda said, tying her apron back around her waist. "I am okay." "No, you are not," Frank said. "But you are tough. You will figure it out." Linda managed to smile. "I always do." But as she returned to work, she could not shake Victoria's words. John was worth $3 billion. He lived in a world of private jets and charity galas, of board meetings and business deals that affected thousands of lives. What did she have to offer a man like that? What did she have to offer anyone? Her phone buzzed with a text from John. "Can we meet tonight? I have something to tell you." Linda stared at the message, her stomach twisting. She had something to tell him, too. She had to tell him that Victoria was right, that they were from different worlds, that friendship between them was impossible. She had to tell him goodbye again. The park was empty, except for a jogger and an elderly woman walking her dog. Linda sat on the same bench where she and John had shared coffee and conversation just days before, but everything felt different now. The weight of Victoria's words, the knowledge of what John had done, the impossibility of their situation, it all pressed down on her like a physical burden. John arrived 15 minutes late, his hair disheveled and his clothes wrinkled, as if he had been running his hands through his hair and pacing his apartment. "I am sorry," he said, sitting down beside her. "I got caught up in a phone call with my lawyer." "About the contract?" Linda asked quietly. John's face went very still. "How did you know about that?" "Your fiancé told me," Linda said, watching his expression carefully. "My what?" John looked genuinely confused. "Linda, I do not have a fiancé." "Victoria Ashford," Linda said. "She came to see me this morning. She told me about your relationship, about the $50,000, about how I need to stop interfering in your life." John closed his eyes and rubbed his temples. "Victoria is not my fiancée. She is someone I dated briefly, someone who has been trying to get back together with me for months. She is persistent, manipulative, and apparently delusional." "She seemed very sure of herself," Linda said. "She always does," John said. "Victoria believes that money and connections are the only things that matter in relationships. She believes that if she can eliminate the competition, I will eventually come around to her way of thinking." "Am I competition?" Linda asked. "You are the only person who has ever mattered to me," John said simply. "Of course you are competition." Linda felt something crack inside her chest. "John, you cannot say things like that." "Why not?" he asked. "Because it makes you uncomfortable, because it complicates your neat little categories of what we can and cannot be to each other." "Because it is not fair," Linda said. "You are offering me things I cannot accept, asking me to be someone I cannot be." "I am asking you to be yourself," John said, "the woman I fell in love with, the woman I have been looking for all these years." "That woman is gone," Linda said. "She died the night I left you standing in my driveway. The woman sitting here now is someone different, someone harder, someone who has learned that fairy tales do not come true." "What if they do?" John asked. "What if everything we dreamed about when we were young is still possible?" "Then we would have to deal with the reality of our situation," Linda said. "The fact that you are worth $3 billion and I clean toilets for a living. The fact that you move in circles I could never enter, understand pressures I could never comprehend." "Money is not everything," John said. "It is when you do not have it," Linda replied. "John, you bought out that contract without asking me. You spent $50,000 like it was pocket change, like my dignity was just another problem you could solve with your credit card. I was protecting you, John said. You were controlling me, Linda said. You made a decision about my life without consulting me, without considering how it might make me feel. That is not protection, John. That is manipulation. John was quiet for a long moment, his hands clenched in his lap. You are right, he said finally. I should have asked. I should have talked to you before I acted. Why did you do it? Linda asked. Because I could not stand the thought of you being in that situation, John said. Because I knew you were considering it, and I knew it would destroy you, because I have enough money to solve the problem, and it seemed like the obvious solution. Obvious to you, Linda said, not to me. What would you have done? John asked. If I had not intervened, what would you have chosen? Linda looked out across the park, watching the jogger disappear around a curve in the path. I do not know, she said honestly. I was desperate enough to consider it. That should tell you something about my state of mind. It tells me that you are a good mother who would do anything for her son, John said. It tells me that you are human, that you have limits, that you need help. It tells me that I am not the woman you remember, Linda said. The Linda you knew would never have considered selling herself for money. The Linda I knew was 18 and had never faced real hardship, John said. The Linda sitting here now has survived things that would have broken most people. She has raised a beautiful child on her own, built a life from nothing, maintained her dignity in impossible circumstances. She is stronger than the girl I knew, braver, more resilient. She is also more cynical, Linda said, more guarded, more aware of the ways the world can hurt you. She is also more beautiful, John said quietly, more interesting. More worth knowing. Linda turned to look at him, seeing something in his expression that made her heart skip. John, do not what? He asked. Do not look at me like that, Linda said. Like I am something precious, something worth saving. I am not a project and not a puzzle to be solved. I know that, John said, but you are precious to me. You always have been. Because of who I was, Linda said. Not who I am. Because of who you are, John corrected. Past, present, and future, all of it. Linda felt tears prick her eyes. I cannot do this, John. I cannot be the woman you want me to be. I do not want you to be anyone other than yourself, John said. I just want you to let me love you. Love me. Linda's voice was barely a whisper. I never stopped, John said. 10 years, Linda. 10 years of looking for you, of hoping you were happy, of wondering if you ever thought about me. I never stopped loving you. Linda felt the walls she had built around her heart beginning to crumble. That is not fair. Love is not fair, John said. It is not convenient or logical or easy, but it is real, and it is worth fighting for. What are you fighting for? Linda asked. What do you want from me? I want a chance, John said. A real chance. Not friendship, not a business arrangement, not some careful negotiation of boundaries. I want to court you, to win you, to show you that what we had was worth waiting for. And if I say no, Linda asked, then I will respect that, John said. But I will not stop hoping that someday you might change your mind. Linda looked at him. This man who had once been her entire world, who was offering her everything she had ever wanted and everything she was afraid to accept. I need time, she said finally. How much time? John asked. I do not know, Linda said. Aaron has to come first, always, and I have to be sure that I am not just desperate enough to make bad decisions. I understand, John said, but Linda, promise me something. What? Promise me you will not run, John said. Whatever you decide, do not disappear again. I could not survive losing you twice. Linda looked into his eyes and saw the boy who had once promised to wait for her forever, who had kept that promise even when she had given him every reason to break it. I promise, she said. Thank you, John said, and the relief in his voice was palpable. They sat in silence for a while, watching the sun set over the park. Linda felt the weight of the decision she had to make, the impossible choice between safety and love, between the known and the unknown. But for the first time in 10 years, she also felt something else, the possibility that maybe, just maybe, she deserved to be happy. The question was whether she was brave enough to believe it. Aaron was helping Linda sort laundry when he asked the question that had been coming for days. Mama, is Mr. Campbell going to be my daddy? Linda's hands stilled on the small t-shirt she was folding. Why do you ask that, sweetheart? Because he looks at you the way daddies look at mommies in movies, Aaron said, with the matter-of-fact wisdom of a 3-year-old. And he looks at me like he wants to be my daddy. Linda sat down on the couch and pulled Aaron into her lap. How do you feel about that? Aaron considered this carefully, his small face serious. I think it would be nice to have a daddy. Marcus has a daddy who teaches him baseball and fixes his bike and reads him stories. I read you stories, Linda said. You read good stories, Aaron agreed. But you do not know about baseball. Linda smiled despite the tightness in her chest. That is true. I do not know much about baseball. Mr. Campbell knows about baseball, Aaron said. He told me when we were at the park. He said he used to play when he was little. Did he? He said if I want, he could teach me how to catch a ball without being scared. Linda felt her heart twist. Are you scared of catching balls? A little, Aaron admitted. They are fast and hard, and sometimes they hurt. That is okay, Linda said. It is okay to be scared of things sometimes. Mr. Campbell said being scared is normal, Aaron said. He said the trick is to not let being scared stop you from trying new things. He said that? Linda asked. He said he was scared lots of times, but he tried anyway. He said that is how he learned to be brave. Linda hugged Aaron closer, breathing in the scent of his shampoo and the lingering smell of playground dirt. What else did you talk about? He asked me about you, Aaron said. He wanted to know what makes you happy and what makes you sad. What did you tell him? I told him you are happy when I am good and sad when we do not have enough money for things, Aaron said. I told him you cry sometimes when you think I am sleeping, but you try to be quiet about it. Linda felt her eyes fill with tears. I am sorry you have seen me cry, baby. It is okay, Aaron said, patting her arm with his small hand. Grown-ups cry sometimes. Elena told me that. Elena is a smart lady, Linda said. She likes Mr. Campbell, Aaron said. She said he has kind eyes. She met him? Linda asked, surprised. Yesterday, when he walked us home from the park, Aaron said. He carried me when I got tired, and he talked to Elena in Spanish. She said he has good manners. Linda realized that John had been spending time with them, integrating himself into their lives in small, careful ways. He had not pushed or demanded or made grand gestures. He had simply been present, reliable, helpful. Aaron, she said carefully, how would you feel if Mr. Campbell spent more time with us? Like every day? Aaron asked hopefully. Maybe not every day, Linda said, but more often than we see him now. I would like that, Aaron said. He is funny, and he knows about lots of things, and he does not get tired of my questions. He does not, Linda asked. Nope. He answers all of them, even the ones about why the sky is blue and where babies come from. Linda's eyebrows shot up. He talked to you about where babies come from? He said they come from when mommies and daddies love each other very much and decide they want to have a family together, Aaron said. He said it is one of the most beautiful things in the world. Linda felt her chest tighten. That is a good answer. He said he hopes someday he can have a family of his own, Aaron said. I told him maybe he could share ours. Aaron, Linda said softly. I know you have to decide, Mama, Aaron said, turning to look at her with serious eyes. But I think he would be a good daddy. He listens, and he is patient, and he makes you smile. He makes me smile? Linda asked. More than you used to, Aaron said. Before he came back, you smiled, but your eyes were still sad. Now your eyes smile too. Linda felt tears slide down her cheeks. When did you get so wise? I pay attention, Aaron said. Elena says that is important. It is important, Linda agreed. And you are right. Mr. Campbell does make me smile. So, can he be my daddy? Aaron asked. It is complicated, sweetheart, Linda said. There are grown-up things to figure out. Like what? Aaron asked. Like whether we are ready for that kind of change, Linda said. Like whether it would be good for all of us. Like whether Mr. Campbell really wants to be part of our family or if he just feels sorry for us. He does not feel sorry for us, Aaron said with certainty. He thinks we are awesome. How do you know? Because he told me, Aaron said. He said you are the strongest person he knows, and I am the smartest boy he has ever met. He said if he could have any family in the world, he would want one just like ours. Linda's heart clenched. He said that. Uh-huh. He said he has been lonely for a long time, and being with us makes him feel like he's home. Linda closed her eyes and let herself imagine it. John as a permanent part of their lives, Aaron having a father figure, herself having a partner to share the weight of responsibility. It was a beautiful dream, but dreams had a way of turning into nightmares when reality intruded. I have to think about it more, Linda said finally. Okay, Aaron said. But Mama? Yes. Can you think fast? I really want to learn about baseball. Linda laughed, the sound surprising her with its genuine joy. I will think as fast as I can. Good, Aaron said, satisfied. Can we call him now? I want to tell him about the picture I drew at school. We can call him, Linda said. But first, let me ask you something. Are you sure about this? Really sure? Because if Mr. Campbell becomes part of our family, things will change. We might move to a different house, go to different places, meet different people. Will we still be together? Aaron asked. You and me? Always, Linda said. That will never change. Then I do not care about the other stuff, Aaron said. As long as we are together, everything else is just details. Linda stared at her son, amazed by his wisdom and his trust. You are right, she said. Everything else is just details. So can we call him? Aaron asked again. Yes, Linda said, reaching for her phone. We can call him. As she dialed John's number, Linda felt something shift inside her. Not the crumbling of walls or the breaking of barriers, but something quieter and more profound. The recognition that she was not alone, that she did not have to carry everything by herself, that there were people who wanted to help her build a life worth living, and maybe, just maybe, she was ready to let them. John answered on the second ring, his voice warm with surprise and pleasure. Linda, is everything okay? Everything is fine, Linda said, settling back on the couch with Aaron curled against her side. Aaron wanted to call you. He has something to tell you. Put him on, John said, and Linda could hear the smile in his voice. Hi, Mr. Campbell, Aaron said, taking the phone with both hands. I drew a picture of you today at school. You did? John's voice was delighted. What does it look like? You are really tall and you have dark hair and you are holding a baseball, Aaron said, and you are smiling because you are teaching me how to catch. That sounds like a wonderful picture, John said. I would love to see it. Mama can send you a photo, Aaron said. She knows how to do that on her phone. I would like that very much, John said. Aaron, can I ask you something? Uh-huh. Would you like to come to a baseball game with me this weekend? There is a team that plays downtown, and I thought we could go watch them and maybe get some popcorn. Aaron's face lit up. Really? A real baseball game? A real baseball game, John confirmed. If your mama says it is okay. Aaron looked at Linda with pleading eyes. Can we, Mama, please? Linda felt her heart squeeze. We can go, she said. But you have to promise to behave and listen to Mr. Campbell. I promise, Aaron said solemnly. I will be the best behaved boy at the whole game. I believe you, Linda said, taking the phone back. John, thank you. This is very kind of you. It is not kind, John said. It is selfish. I want to spend time with both of you. Both of us? Linda asked. I was hoping you would come too, John said. I know you do not know much about baseball, but I thought maybe I could teach you. We could learn together. Linda felt something warm unfold in her chest. I would like that. Good, John said, and she could hear the relief in his voice. I will pick you up Saturday at noon. The game starts at 2, but I thought we could get lunch first. Sounds perfect, Linda said. Linda. John's voice was quieter now, more intimate. Can I ask you something? Of course. Are you okay, really okay, after everything that happened with Victoria, with the hotel situation, with our conversation yesterday? I know it has been a lot. Linda looked at Aaron, who was showing her his drawing with obvious pride. I'm okay, she said, and realized she meant it. I am actually better than okay. Yeah, John asked. Yeah. I think I am ready to stop being scared all the time. Scared of what? John asked gently. Of letting people help me, Linda said. Of believing that I deserve good things. Of trusting that maybe, just maybe, some fairy tales do come true. They do, John said softly. They absolutely do. I am beginning to believe that, Linda said. Good, John said. Because you deserve every good thing the world has to offer, Linda. You and Aaron both. John, Linda said. Yes? When you said you wanted to court me, what did you mean exactly? John was quiet for a moment. I meant I want to show you how much you mean to me. I want to take you on dates, bring you flowers, meet your friends, introduce you to mine. I want to be the man you can count on, the one who makes your life easier instead of harder. And if I let you, Linda asked. If I say yes to being courted, then I will spend every day trying to prove that I am worthy of your trust, John said. I will be patient and careful and respectful of your boundaries. I will put you and Aaron first, always. What about your world? Linda asked. Your business, your money, your social obligations. None of that matters without you, John said. I have spent 10 years building a life that looked successful from the outside, but felt empty on the inside. I do not want that anymore. I want a life that has meaning, that has love, that has you in it. Even if it means giving up some of the things you have worked for, Linda asked. Especially then, John said. Linda, I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. I have a company that runs itself, investments that generate passive income, enough resources to last forever. What I do not have is a family. What I do not have is someone to come home to, someone to share my victories and defeats with, someone to love. You could have that with someone else, Linda said, someone who fits better into your world. I do not want someone else, John said firmly. I want you. I have always wanted you. I will wait as long as it takes for you to believe that. Linda felt tears prick her eyes. I am scared, John. I know, he said, but you do not have to be scared alone anymore. Whatever happens, whatever you decide, I am here. I am not going anywhere. Promise, Linda asked, her voice small. Promise, John said, cross my heart and hope to die. Linda smiled despite her tears. You have not said that since we were teenagers. Some promises are worth keeping, John said, no matter how long it takes. After they hung up, Linda sat on the couch with Aaron, holding him close and thinking about the conversation. John was offering her everything she had ever wanted: love, security, partnership, a father for her son. He was also offering her the chance to step into a world she had never been part of, to become someone she had never imagined being. The question was whether she was brave enough to take it. "Mama," Aaron said sleepily, "are you going to marry Mr. Campbell?" "I do not know yet," Linda said honestly. "Would you want me to?" "I think you should marry someone who makes you happy," Aaron said, "and he makes you happy." "He does," Linda agreed, "but marriage is a big decision. It changes everything." "Sometimes change is good," Aaron said. "Remember when we moved to this apartment and I was scared, but then I met Marcus and teacher Sarah and Eleanor, and now I love it here." "You are right," Linda said. "Sometimes change is good." "So maybe this change would be good too," Aaron said. "Maybe it would," Linda said, pressing a kiss to the top of his head. "Maybe it would." As she tucked Aaron into bed that night, Linda found herself thinking about the future for the first time in years. Not just the next bill to pay or the next shift to work, but the real future. The possibility of a life that included love and laughter and lazy Saturday mornings. The possibility of a partner who would share the weight of responsibility and the joy of watching Aaron grow up. The possibility of happiness. It was a terrifying thought, but also a beautiful one. And for the first time in 10 years, Linda allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, she was worthy of both. The baseball stadium was smaller than Linda had expected, a charming old ballpark with green seats and hand-painted signs advertising local businesses. The crowd was a mix of families, elderly couples, and die-hard fans who knew every player's statistics by heart. The atmosphere was festive and relaxed, nothing like the intimidating environment Linda had imagined. "I have never been to a baseball game before," she confessed to John as they found their seats behind home plate. "I do not know the rules. The rules are simple," John said, settling Aaron between them. "The pitcher throws the ball, the batter tries to hit it, and then everyone runs around in circles." "That does not sound right," Aaron said, giggling. "It is a little more complicated than that," John admitted, "but not much. The important thing is to cheer for the home team and eat too much junk food." "I can do that," Linda said, accepting the bag of peanuts John offered her. The game started slowly, with the visiting team taking an early lead, but Linda found herself drawn into the rhythm of it, the way the crowd collectively held its breath during tense moments and erupted in cheers when something good happened. Aaron was entranced, asking questions about every aspect of the game, from why the players wore different colored uniforms to why the crowd sang during the seventh-inning stretch. John answered every question with patience and enthusiasm, explaining the strategy behind each play and the history behind various traditions. He bought Aaron a foam finger and a team cap and showed him how to keep score on the official scorecard. "You are good at this," Linda said during a quiet moment between innings. "The father thing." "I am terrifying," John said. "I have no idea what I am doing." "Join the club," Linda said. "I have been winging it for 3 years. You make it look easy," John said. "It is not easy," Linda said. "It is just necessary. You do what you have to do, and you hope it works out." "Like everything else in life," John said. "Like everything else in life," Linda agreed. The home team rallied in the 8th inning, scoring 3 runs to take the lead. The crowd was on its feet, including Aaron, who was jumping up and down and screaming with excitement. Linda found herself caught up in the moment, cheering along with everyone else, her voice hoarse from shouting. "This is fun," she said to John, who was grinning at her enthusiasm. "You sound surprised," he said. "I am surprised," Linda said. "I thought I had forgotten how to have fun." "You just needed the right occasion," John said. "And the right company," Linda added, then blushed at her own boldness. John's smile widened. "I was hoping you would say that." The game ended with a victory for the home team, and the crowd filed out in high spirits. Aaron was exhausted but exhilarated, chattering non-stop about his favorite moments and asking when they could come back. "Soon," John promised, lifting Aaron onto his shoulders for the walk to the parking lot. "Maybe next weekend if your mama is free." "Can we, Mama?" Aaron asked from his perch above the crowd. "We will see," Linda said, but she was smiling. They stopped for ice cream on the way home, sitting at a picnic table outside a small shop, while Aaron worked his way through a double scoop of chocolate chip. The evening was warm, with a gentle breeze that carried the scent of blooming flowers from a nearby garden. "Thank you for today," Linda said to John. "This was perfect." "It was perfect," John agreed. "I cannot remember the last time I had this much fun." "Really?" Linda asked. "With all your resources, all the places you could go and things you could do?" "Money cannot buy this," John said, gesturing at Aaron, who was making faces at a little girl at the next table. "It cannot buy the feeling of being part of a family." "Is that what this is?" Linda asked quietly. "A family?" "It feels like one to me," John said. "Does it feel like one to you?" Linda considered the question, looking at Aaron's chocolate-covered face and John's hopeful expression. "It feels like the beginning of one," she said finally. "The beginning is the most important part," John said. "Is it?" Linda asked. "It is when you decide to trust someone with your heart," John said. "When you choose to believe that love is possible, even when it seems impossible." "And you think love is possible?" Linda asked. "For us, I think love is inevitable," John said. "For us," Linda felt her breath catch. "John, I know," he said. "Too much, too fast. But I cannot help how I feel, Linda. I cannot pretend that spending time with you and Aaron is just friendship. I cannot pretend that I do not want more." "What do you want?" Linda asked. "I want to wake up next to you every morning," John said. "I want to help Aaron with his homework and teach him to drive and walk him down the aisle at his wedding someday. I want to grow old with you, to face whatever comes next together." "That is a lot to want," Linda said. "It is everything I want," John said, "but I will settle for whatever you are willing to give me." Linda looked at him, this man who had once been her best friend and was now offering her the world. "What if I cannot give you everything you want?" "Then I will love you anyway," John said, "for as long as you will let me." "Even if it means giving up some of your dreams?" Linda asked. "You are my dream," John said. "You always have been." Aaron's voice interrupted them, demanding attention for his sticky fingers and chocolate-covered shirt. John immediately shifted into caretaker mode, helping Aaron clean up and making jokes to distract him from the minor crisis of spilled ice cream. Linda watched him work, seeing the natural ease with which he handled the situation. He did not seem frustrated or impatient, did not act like Aaron's needs were an inconvenience. He simply took care of what needed to be taken care of, the way a father would, the way a husband would. "We should head home," Linda said when Aaron was clean and drowsy. "It is past his bedtime." "Of course," John said, lifting Aaron into his arms. "I will drive you." "You do not have to," Linda said. "We can take the bus." "I want to," John said. "Please let me." Linda nodded, too tired to argue. The day had been emotionally exhausting, full of small moments that felt like turning points. She was not sure she was ready for all the implications, but she was sure she did not want the evening to end. Aaron fell asleep in his car seat before they reached Linda's apartment building. John carried him upstairs, whispering quietly so as not to wake him. Linda opened the door and watched as John gently placed Aaron in his bed, removing his shoes and pulling a blanket over him. "Thank you," Linda said when they were back in the living room. "For everything. For the game, for the ice cream, for being so good with him." "Thank you for letting me be part of your day," John said. "For trusting me with something so important." "Aaron likes you," Linda said. "He has been asking about you all week." "I like him too," John said. "He is an amazing kid, Linda. You should be proud." "I am proud," Linda said. "But I am also scared. I'm scared of letting him get too attached if this does not work out." "Why would it not work out?" John asked. "Because I am not sure I know how to be in a relationship," Linda said. "Because I have been independent for so long that I do not know how to share my life with someone. Because I am terrified of depending on someone and then losing them." "You will not lose me," John said. "I promise you that." "You cannot promise that," Linda said. "No one can promise that." "I can promise that I will not leave by choice," John said. "I can promise that I will fight for us for as long as it takes." Linda felt tears prick her eyes. "I want to believe you." "Then believe me," John said, stepping closer. "Take a leap of faith, Linda. Trust that some things are worth the risk." "What if I fall?" Linda asked. "Then I will catch you," John said. "I will always catch you." Linda looked up at him, seeing the sincerity in his eyes, the love that he was not trying to hide. He was offering her everything she had ever wanted, everything she had convinced herself she did not deserve. "I need time," she said finally. "I need to think." "Take all the time you need," John said. "But Linda?" "Yes?" "While you are thinking, remember today. Remember how it felt to be a family, even if it was just for a few hours. Remember that some dreams are worth chasing." "I will remember," Linda said. John kissed her forehead, a gentle gesture that felt like a promise. "Good night, Linda." "Good night, John." After he left, Linda sat on her couch and thought about the day. The laughter, the easy conversation, the way Aaron had looked at John with such trust and affection, the way John had looked at both of them like they were the most precious things in the world. Maybe Victoria was wrong. Maybe there was more to relationships than compatibility and shared social circles. Maybe love was enough, after all. Maybe some dreams were worth chasing. 3 weeks after the baseball game, Linda's carefully constructed world began to unravel in the most unexpected way. She was sorting through Aaron's outgrown clothes when she found the letter that had been slipped under her door, unmarked and ominous in its simplicity. "Linda Martinez," it read, using her old name. "I know who you are and what you have been hiding. I know about your parents' debt, about the bankruptcy you fled from, about the lies you told to disappear. Now that you are connected to John Campbell, it is time to settle old accounts. $10,000, or I go to the newspapers with your story. You have 1 week." It was signed Family. Linda's hands shook as she read the letter a second time, then a third. Someone had found her, someone who knew about her past, someone who was willing to use it against her. The timing was too convenient to be coincidental. Someone had been watching her, waiting for the right moment to strike. Her phone rang, and she jumped, expecting to hear a threatening voice. Instead, it was John, his tone warm and familiar. "Good morning, beautiful," he said. "How are you feeling today?" "I am fine," Linda said automatically, then caught herself. "Actually, I am not fine. Something has happened." "What is it?" John's voice immediately sharpened with concern. "I received a letter," Linda said, reading it to him word for word. "Someone is trying to blackmail me." John was quiet for a long moment. "Do you have any idea who it might be?" "I have been thinking about it," Linda said. "It has to be someone from my past, someone who knew about my parents' situation. But most of those people are dead or moved away." "Family," John repeated thoughtfully. That could be literal. Do you have any relatives who might have tracked you down? Linda considered this. My father had a brother, Uncle Raymond. He disappeared when I was young, got involved with gambling and drugs. My parents cut him off after he stole money from them. I have not thought about him in years. But he would have known about your parents' debt, John said. He would have known about everything, Linda said. He was always looking for an angle, always trying to find a way to make money without working for it. Then we need to find him, John said, and we need to figure out how to handle this. We? Linda asked. You do not have to face this alone, John said. Whatever this person wants, whatever they think they can do to you, we will deal with it together. John, you do not understand, Linda said. If this gets out, if people know about my past, about the bankruptcy, about the lies I told to get jobs and apartments, then we will deal with that too, John said firmly. Linda, listen to me. You have nothing to be ashamed of. You were 18 years old, facing impossible circumstances. You did what you had to do to survive. You say that now, Linda said. But if this becomes public, if it affects your reputation, your business— I do not care about my reputation, John said. I care about you. I care about Aaron. I care about protecting the life we are building together. The life we are building together, Linda repeated. John, we have not even talked about what that means. Then let us talk about it, John said. Right now. Where are you? At home, Linda said. I'm coming over, John said. We need to have this conversation in person. John, I have to work, Linda said. I cannot just drop everything when a crisis happens. Yes, you can, John said. For once in your life, you can let someone else handle the details while you focus on what matters. What matters? Linda asked. Us, John said. We matter, Linda. What we are building together matters, and I am not going to let some blackmailer destroy it. Linda felt tears prick her eyes. I am scared, I know, John said, but you are not alone, not anymore. After John hung up, Linda sat in her kitchen and stared at the letter, $10,000. It might as well have been 10 million. She did not have that kind of money, could not get that kind of money, not without doing something she would regret. But more than the money, she was terrified of the exposure. She had worked so hard to build a respectable life, to create a stable environment for Aaron. If her past came out, if people knew about the bankruptcy, the lies, the desperation that had driven her to disappear, what would happen to her job, to Aaron's school, to the careful reputation she had built, and what would happen to John? He was a public figure, a successful businessman. Being associated with someone who had lied about her identity, who had fled from debt and responsibility, could damage him in ways she could not even imagine. Maybe it would be better to just pay the money, find a way to get $10,000 and make the problem go away. But she knew that was not how blackmail worked. There would be another demand, and another, until she was trapped in a cycle of payments she could never escape. She was still sitting at the kitchen table when John arrived, letting himself in with the key she had given him the week before. He took one look at her face and pulled her into his arms. Hey, he said softly, we are going to figure this out. How? Linda asked. How do we figure out something like this? By facing it head on, John said. By not letting fear make our decisions for us. Easy for you to say, Linda said. You have never had to hide from your past. Have I not? John asked. Linda, do you know what my childhood was like? Do you know what I came from? Linda looked at him, surprised by the question. I know your family did not have much money. My father was an alcoholic, John said quietly. He lost job after job, spent whatever money we had on liquor, left my mother to work 2 jobs just to keep us housed and fed. When I was 12, he disappeared completely. Just never came home one day. John, I had no idea, Linda said. I never told anyone. John said. When I started my company, when I became successful, I created a new narrative. I talked about being raised by a single mother who worked hard to give me opportunities. I talked about learning the value of determination and perseverance. I never mentioned the nights I went to bed hungry, or the times the electricity was shut off, or the way my father used to hit my mother when he was drunk. "Why are you telling me this now?" Linda asked. "Because I want you to understand that everyone has a past," John said. "Everyone has things they are ashamed of, things they would rather forget. The difference is not in what happened to us, but in how we choose to handle it." "So how do we handle this?" Linda asked. "We start by finding out who is behind it," John said. "Then we decide how to respond." "What if it ruins everything?" Linda asked. "What if people find out about my past and decide I am not worth the trouble?" "Then they do not deserve you," John said. "Linda, the people who matter will understand. The people who do not understand do not matter." "And if it affects your business?" Linda asked. "Then I will deal with that too," John said. "But I am not going to let fear of what might happen stop me from fighting for what I know is right." Linda looked at him, seeing the determination in his eyes, the absolute certainty that they could face whatever came next. "You really believe that?" "I believe in us," John said. "I believe that what we have is worth fighting for." "Even if it costs you everything?" Linda asked. "Everything I have is meaningless without you," John said. "I learned that lesson a long time ago." Linda felt something shift inside her, a recognition that she was not the only one who had been scared, the only one who had been hiding. John had faced his own demons, had overcome his own past, and he was offering to help her do the same. "Okay," she said, "how do we start?" "We start by not giving in to fear," John said. "We start by remembering that you are not the frightened 18-year-old who ran away 10 years ago. You are a strong, capable woman who has built a life and raised a child and survived things that would have broken most people." "I do not feel strong," Linda said. "Then let me be strong for both of us," John said. "Until you remember how strong you really are." Linda leaned into him, feeling the solid warmth of his chest, the steady rhythm of his breathing. "I love you," she said, the words coming out before she could stop them. John went very still. "What did you say?" "I love you," Linda repeated, looking up at him. "I've been trying not to say it, trying not to feel it, but I love you. I love the man you have become, the way you are with Aaron, the way you make me feel like I am worth something." "Linda," John said, his voice rough with emotion. "I love you," she said again, "and I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of running, tired of hiding, tired of pretending that I do not deserve good things." "You deserve everything," John said, cupping her face in his hands. "You deserve love and happiness and a life that is not defined by fear." "Then help me fight for it," Linda said. "Help me face whatever comes next." "Always," John said, and kissed her. It was not their first kiss, but it felt like the first one that mattered. It was a kiss that tasted of promises and possibilities, of a future that was no longer defined by the past. It was a kiss that said they were done running, done hiding, done letting fear make their decisions. It was a kiss that said they were ready to fight for love. Finding Raymond Martinez turned out to be easier than Linda had expected. John's private investigator located him in 3 days, living in a rundown apartment across town and working sporadically as a handyman. The investigator's report painted a picture of a man who had never quite recovered from his addiction issues, who moved from job to job and scheme to scheme, always looking for the easy way out. "He owes money to several people," the investigator reported during their meeting at John's downtown office. "Gambling debts, mostly. He has been talking about coming into some money soon, bragging about a family connection that is going to pay off. "How did he find me?" Linda asked. "Social media," the investigator said. "Someone posted a photo from the baseball game, tagged you in it. He recognized you from the picture, did some research, figured out you were connected to John Campbell. It was not hard to put the pieces together." Linda felt sick. "A photo from the baseball game. Aaron's teacher posted it," John said gently. "She was at the game with her family, saw us together, thought it was sweet. She meant well." "So my past is already out there," Linda said. "If he can find it, anyone can." "Not necessarily," the investigator said. "He had an advantage because he knew what to look for. Most people would not make the connection between Linda Martinez and Linda Morris. But if he goes to the newspapers," Linda said, "if he makes it public, then we deal with it," John said. "But first, we give him a chance to walk away." "What do you mean?" Linda asked. "We meet with him," John said. "We explain that blackmail is a crime, that he is risking serious legal consequences. We give him an opportunity to reconsider his choices. And if he refuses," Linda asked, "then we let him know that he has picked the wrong target," John said, "that we have resources he cannot match, and that we are prepared to use them." Linda was quiet for a long moment. "I want to talk to him myself." "Linda, I do not think that is a good idea," John said. "I need to face this," Linda said. "I need to look him in the eye and tell him that I am not the scared girl he thinks I am." "It could be dangerous," John said. "He is desperate, and desperate people do unpredictable things." "Then come with me," Linda said. "But I am not going to hide behind lawyers and investigators. This is my past, my family, my fight." John studied her face, seeing the determination there, the strength that had carried her through 10 years of struggle. "Okay," he said finally. "But we do this my way. Controlled environment, security present, everything documented." "Deal," Linda said. They arranged to meet Raymond at a coffee shop downtown, neutral territory with plenty of witnesses. John arrived early with 2 security guards who positioned themselves discreetly at nearby tables. Linda arrived exactly on time, her hands steady despite the churning in her stomach. Raymond Martinez looked older than his 55 years, his face weathered by hard living and poor choices. He was sitting in the back corner, nursing a cup of coffee and checking his phone nervously. When he saw Linda, his eyes lit up with a mixture of recognition and calculation. "Linda," he said, standing up as she approached, "you look good. Success agrees with you." "Hello, Uncle Raymond," Linda said, sliding into the chair across from him. "It has been a long time." 10 years, Raymond said. "You disappeared pretty thoroughly. Took me a while to track you down." "I was not hiding from you," Linda said. "No, you were hiding from a lot of things," Raymond said. "But you landed on your feet, did you not? Got yourself a rich boyfriend, a nice life. Good for you." "What do you want?" Linda asked. "I told you what I want," Raymond said. $10,000. "A family loan, you might say." "I do not have $10,000, Linda said. "But he does," Raymond said, nodding toward John, who was sitting at a table across the room. "Your billionaire boyfriend has plenty of money." "John is not part of this," Linda said. "He is part of it the moment I go to the newspapers," Raymond said. "You think a man like that wants to be associated with a woman who lied about her identity, who filed for bankruptcy and then disappeared in the middle of the night?" "I was 18, Linda said. "I was alone and scared and trying to survive." "And now you are 30 and trying to land a rich husband," Raymond said. "I get it, but family comes first. Linda, you help me out, and I keep your secrets." "And if I refuse?" Linda asked. "Then everyone finds out who you really are," Raymond said. "Your employers, your son's school, the newspapers. How do you think that will go over?" Linda looked at him, this man who shared her blood but had never been part of her family, who was willing to destroy her life for money. "You know what, Uncle Raymond, I do not care." "You do not care?" Raymond's smile faltered. "I do not care if people know about my past," Linda said, her voice growing stronger. "I do not care if they know that I was 18 and desperate and made some hard choices to survive. I do not care if they know that I changed my name and started over, because I am proud of what I built." "Your rich boyfriend might care," Raymond said. "My rich boyfriend already knows," Linda said. "He knows everything, and he loves me anyway. He loves me because of who I am, not because of who I pretended to be." Raymond's face darkened. "You think you are so smart, so successful, but you are still the same scared little girl who ran away in the middle of the night." "No," Linda said, standing up. "I am not. I am a woman who has worked 2 jobs to support her son, who has built a life from nothing, who has survived things that would have broken you. I am not ashamed of my past, and I am not afraid of you." $10,000? Raymond said desperately. "That is all I need." "Get a job," Linda said. "Get help for your gambling problem. Stop trying to make other people responsible for your choices." She started to walk away, but Raymond grabbed her arm. "You think you can just walk away from family, from responsibility?" "You are not my family," Linda said, pulling free. "My family is the people who love me, who support me, who want what is best for me. You are just someone who shares my DNA." Raymond's face twisted with anger. "You will regret this?" "No," Linda said. "I will regret it if I let you control my life with fear. I will regret it if I let you make me ashamed of who I am." She walked away without looking back, her heart pounding but her steps steady. John fell into step beside her, his hand warm on her back. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Terrified," Linda said, "but also free." "Free?" John asked. "Free from the fear of being discovered," Linda said. "Free from the shame of my past, free to be who I really am." "And who is that?" John asked. "Linda Morris," Linda said. "Mother, survivor, woman in love. That is who I am." "That is who you have always been," John said. "I am proud of you." "Even if this goes public?" Linda asked. "Even if it affects your reputation?" "Especially then," John said. "Because it will show the world what I already know, that you are the strongest, most courageous woman I have ever met." Linda felt tears prick her eyes. "I love you." "I love you too," John said, "and I am going to spend the rest of my life proving it." 3 days later, Raymond Martinez was arrested for attempted extortion. The evidence was overwhelming. Recorded conversations, documented threats, a clear pattern of criminal behavior. He would spend the next 2 years in prison, with mandatory addiction counseling and probation afterward. No story appeared in the newspapers. No scandal erupted. Linda's past remained her own, shared only with the people who mattered. The people who loved her regardless of what she had been through. She had faced her demons and won. She had chosen courage over fear, truth over deception, love over safety. She had chosen to fight for the life she deserved. The phone call came on a Tuesday morning while Linda was getting Aaron ready for school. Frank's voice was gruff with emotion as he delivered the news that would change everything. "Linda, I need you to come in early today. We need to talk." "Is everything okay?" Linda asked, sensing something different in his tone. "Just come in," Frank said. "We will talk when you get here." Linda dropped Aaron at school and hurried to Morrison's diner, her mind racing with possibilities. Had someone complained about her service? Had Frank heard about the situation with Raymond? Was she about to lose one of her jobs? She found Frank sitting in the back booth, paperwork spread across the table, his expression serious. "Sit down," he said. "Frank, if this is about my uncle," Linda began. "It is not about your uncle," Frank said. "It is about me. Linda, I am selling the diner." Linda felt the blood drain from her face. What? Why? My daughter in Phoenix has been after me to retire for years, Frank said. I have been putting it off, but the truth is, I am 72 years old and I'm tired. I want to spend my remaining years with my grandchildren, not worrying about broken coffee machines and food costs. But the diner is your life, Linda said. The diner was my life, Frank corrected. Now I want to have a life outside of work. I want to travel, to relax, to sleep past 4 in the morning. Who are you selling to? Linda asked. That is what I wanted to talk to you about, Frank said. I have had several offers, but one stands out. A young couple who wants to modernize the place, expand the menu, maybe add dinner service. They have good ideas, solid financing, and they want to keep the existing staff. That sounds good, Linda said, though her voice was hollow. They want to meet with you, Frank said. They have heard good things about your work, your reliability. They want to make sure you are on board with their plans. When? Linda asked. This afternoon, Frank said. They are coming by at 2 o'clock. I told them you would be here. Linda nodded, her mind spinning. Change was coming whether she wanted it or not. The stability she had worked so hard to build was shifting beneath her feet. Linda, Frank said gently, this could be a good thing. New owners, new opportunities, maybe a chance to take on more responsibility, earn more money. Maybe, Linda said, or maybe they will decide they want their own people, their own way of doing things. Then you will find another job, Frank said. You always do. You are a survivor, Linda. You always find a way. Linda spent the rest of the morning in a fog of anxiety, serving customers and refilling coffee cups, while her mind raced with worst-case scenarios. She had been here before, facing uncertainty and change, but it never got easier. At 2 o'clock, the new owners arrived. Linda expected to see another middle-aged couple with restaurant experience and traditional ideas. Instead, she found herself face-to-face with two people who looked younger than her, dressed in casual clothes and carrying tablets instead of briefcases. Linda, I am Sarah Chen, the woman said, extending her hand. This is my husband, David. We are so excited to meet you. Frank has told us wonderful things about you, David added. Your work ethic, your relationship with the customers, your reliability. We would love to have you be part of our plans. What are your plans? Linda asked cautiously. We want to honor the history of this place while making it relevant for the future, Sarah said. Keep the comfort food that people love, but add some healthier options, maybe some ethnic dishes. Expand the hours, offer dinner service, create a space where families can come for both quick meals and special occasions. That sounds ambitious, Linda said. It is, David agreed, but we think this neighborhood is ready for something like this, and we think you could be a key part of making it happen. What do you mean? Linda asked. We want to promote from within, Sarah said. Frank tells us you know every aspect of this business, that you have ideas for improvements, that customers trust you. We would like to offer you a position as assistant manager, with the possibility of eventually moving into full management. Linda stared at them. Assistant manager. With a substantial salary increase, David said. Health insurance, paid vacation, profit sharing. We believe in investing in our employees. We also believe in flexible scheduling, Sarah added. Frank mentioned that you have a son. We want to make sure you can balance work and family responsibilities. Linda felt tears prick her eyes. I do not know what to say. Say you will think about it, David said. We know this is a lot to process. Take your time, ask questions, let us know what you need. Frank recommended you very highly, Sarah said. He said you are the heart of this place, that the regulars come here as much to see you as to eat the food. That is exactly the kind of person we want to build our business around. After they left, Linda sat in the empty diner and tried to process what had just happened. A promotion, a raise, health insurance, respect for her ideas and her contributions. It was more than she had dared to hope for. Her phone buzzed with a text from John. How did the meeting go? Linda realized she had forgotten to tell him about the sale, about the uncertainty that had been consuming her all morning. She had been so focused on managing the crisis by herself that she had not thought to share the burden. Better than expected, she texted back. I will tell you about it tonight. Want to celebrate? John replied. I have news too. Good news or bad news? Linda asked. Good news, John said. Very good news. Linda smiled, feeling something loosen in her chest. Maybe change was not always something to be feared. Maybe sometimes it was something to be embraced. Maybe it was time to stop expecting the worst and start believing in the possibility of something better. That evening, she would learn that John's news was indeed very good. He had sold his company to a larger corporation, maintaining his role as CEO but reducing his day-to-day responsibilities. He would have more time for the things that mattered, more flexibility to build the life he wanted to build with her. But first, she had to call Sarah and David and accept their offer. She had to take a leap of faith and trust that some changes were worth embracing. She had to believe that she deserved the good things that were coming her way. The first snowfall of the season arrived on a Saturday in November, dusting the city in a soft blanket of white that transformed the familiar landscape into something magical. Linda stood at her kitchen window, watching Aaron build a snowman in the courtyard below, while John supervised from the bench, his breath visible in the cold air. It had been 2 months since she had accepted the assistant manager position at the diner, 2 months since John had restructured his business obligations to spend more time with her and Aaron. 2 months of learning to navigate a relationship that was no longer tentative or careful, but committed and real. They had not moved in together yet, but the progression felt natural and inevitable. John kept clothes at her apartment, Aaron had his own drawer at John's house, and they had fallen into routines that felt like family. Saturday morning pancakes, Sunday afternoon walks, bedtime stories that both adults enjoyed as much as the child. Linda was still adjusting to the reality of having a partner, someone who shared responsibilities and decisions, who cared about her happiness as much as his own. There were moments when she felt guilty about accepting help, moments when she wondered if she was becoming too dependent on his presence in her life. But there were also moments when she felt like the luckiest woman alive. Her phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. Hello? Linda, it is Sarah. I hope I'm not interrupting your Saturday. Not at all, Linda said, surprised to hear from her boss. Is everything okay? Everything is wonderful, Sarah said. I wanted to let you know that we just got the final approval for the expansion project. The permits came through, the financing is in place, and we are ready to move forward. That is fantastic news, Linda said. The expansion had been in planning for weeks, a project that would add a private dining room and extend the kitchen facilities. It is, Sarah agreed. And Linda, David, and I have been talking. We would like to offer you the general manager position. Linda nearly dropped the phone. What? We have been watching how you handle the staff, how you interact with customers, how you solve problems, Sarah said. You have all the skills we need. And more importantly, you have the heart for this business. We think you would be perfect for the role. Sarah, I am honored, Linda said, but I do not have formal management experience. You have real-world experience, Sarah said. You know this business inside and out. You understand the challenges, the opportunities, the community we serve. We can teach you the administrative side, but we cannot teach someone to care the way you do." "What would this mean?" Linda asked. "Significant salary increase, full benefits package, profit sharing, and the authority to make decisions about staffing, menu development, and day-to-day operations," Sarah said. "It would also mean more responsibility, longer hours sometimes, and the pressure of managing a team." "I need to think about it," Linda said. "Of course you do," Sarah said. "Take your time. But Linda, I want you to know that this is not charity or sympathy. This is a business decision based on your merit and your value to our organization." After hanging up, Linda sat at her kitchen table and stared at the job offer she had never thought possible. General manager, a salary that would eliminate financial stress, benefits that would provide security, responsibility that would challenge and fulfill her. It was everything she had ever wanted professionally, offered at a time when her personal life was also falling into place. She was still processing the news when John and Aaron returned from their snowman building expedition, both of them red-cheeked and laughing. "Mama, look," Aaron said, holding up his snow-covered mittens. "I caught snowflakes." "I see that," Linda said, helping him out of his coat. "Did you have fun?" "The best fun," Aaron said. "John taught me how to make snow angels, and we built a snowman with 3 buttons and a carrot nose." "It sounds wonderful," Linda said, catching John's eye over Aaron's head. "John, can we talk for a minute?" "Of course," John said. "Aaron, why do not you go wash your hands and get ready for lunch?" When Aaron had disappeared into the bathroom, John turned to Linda with concern. "What is wrong? You look like you have seen a ghost." "Sarah called," Linda said. "She offered me the general manager position." John's face lit up. "Linda, that is incredible. Congratulations." "I have not accepted yet," Linda said. "Why not?" John asked. "Because I am scared," Linda said. "What if I am not ready for that much responsibility? What if I fail?" "What if you succeed?" John asked. "What if you take this job and discover that you are even more capable than you thought?" "It would mean more hours," Linda said. "More time away from Aaron. It would also mean more money, more security, more opportunities for Aaron's future," John said. "And Linda, you would not be doing this alone. You have support now, people who want to help you succeed." "People like you," Linda said. "People like me," John agreed, "but also people like Sarah and David, like Frank, like Elena. You have built a network of people who believe in you." Linda was quiet for a moment. "I spent so many years just trying to survive, just trying to get through each day. I never imagined I could have a career, real opportunities for advancement." "You can have anything you want," John said. "The question is, what do you want?" "I want to be able to provide for Aaron," Linda said. "I want to be proud of my work. I want to contribute something meaningful." "Then take the job," John said. "Take the job and show them what you can do." "What if it changes things between us?" Linda asked. "What if success makes me different?" "Success will not change who you are," John said. "It will just give you more opportunities to be who you have always been." Linda looked at him, seeing the absolute confidence in his expression, the unwavering belief in her abilities. "You really think I can do this?" "I think you can do anything you set your mind to," John said. "I have thought that since we were 17 years old." "Even when I was running away?" Linda asked. "Especially then," John said. "Because running away took courage too. It took courage to leave everything you knew, to start over, to build a life from nothing. This is just another kind of courage." Linda felt tears prick her eyes. "I love you. I love you too," John said. "And I am going to love watching you succeed." "What if I do not know how to balance everything?" Linda asked. "Work and family and our relationship." "Then we will figure it out together," John said. "That is what partners do." Partners. The word settled into Linda's chest like a warm glow. She had a partner now, someone who would help her navigate the challenges and celebrate the victories. "Okay," she said, "I will take the job." "You will?" John asked. "I will," Linda said, feeling a rush of excitement and terror. "I will take the job and see what happens. I'm so proud of you," John said, pulling her into his arms. "You are going to be amazing." "I hope so," Linda said. "I know so," John said, and kissed her forehead. "Now let us go tell Aaron the good news." As they walked toward the bathroom to find Aaron, Linda felt something shift inside her. Not the crumbling of walls or the breaking of barriers, but something quieter and more profound. The recognition that she was not the same woman who had fallen asleep on a bus 6 months ago, exhausted and hopeless. She was a woman with a career, a future, a family that extended beyond just her and Aaron. She was a woman who had learned to accept help, to trust in love, to believe in her own worth. She was a woman who was finally ready to stop surviving and start living. The Christmas decorations at Morrison's Diner were modest but cheerful, garland around the windows, a small tree in the corner, and red and green tablecloths that Elena had sewn as a gift for the reopening. Linda stood behind the counter, surveying the evening crowd with satisfaction. The expansion had been a success. The new menu items were popular, and the staff was working together like a well-oiled machine. "Linda," called David from the kitchen doorway, "Table 6 is asking for you specifically. They want to compliment the new chef on the seafood special." Linda smiled, wiping her hands on her apron before walking over to the table. She had been general manager for 3 weeks now, and she was finally beginning to feel comfortable in the role. The administrative tasks were challenging but learnable, and she discovered that managing people came naturally to her. "Good evening," she said to the elderly couple at table 6. "I hear you enjoyed the salmon." "Best we have had in years," the man said. "You have really turned this place around." "Thank you," Linda said. "We have a wonderful team here." As she walked back to the counter, Linda caught sight of John and Aaron at their usual table by the window. John was helping Aaron with his homework while they waited for her shift to end, a routine that had developed naturally over the past month. "Mama," Aaron called out, "John is helping me with my math, and I got all the problems right." "That is wonderful, sweetheart," Linda said, ruffling his hair as she passed. 5 more minutes, and then we can go home." "Actually," John said, "I was hoping we could take a walk first. It is a beautiful evening, and I thought Aaron might enjoy seeing the Christmas lights downtown." "Can we, Mama?" Aaron asked. "Please?" Linda looked outside at the crisp December evening, the sidewalk sparkling with frost under the streetlights. "I suppose we have time for a short walk?" They bundled up in coats and scarves, Aaron chattering excitedly about the presents he hoped to find under the tree on Christmas morning. Linda walked between John and Aaron, feeling the contentment that had become her new normal. "Where should we go?" Linda asked as they stepped outside. "I thought we could walk to the bus stop," John said, "the one where we first saw each other again." Linda looked at him curiously. "Why there?" "Because it is where everything started," John said. "Where our lives changed." They walked the few blocks to the bus stop, Aaron running ahead to look at the decorations in store windows. The bench where Linda used to wait for the bus was still there, though it looked different now, smaller, less significant than it had seemed during those exhausting months when it represented nothing but exhaustion and routine. "I used to sit here every evening," Linda said, settling onto the bench. "So tired I could barely keep my eyes open." "I used to take the bus sometimes, just hoping I would see you," John said, sitting beside her. "After that first day, I rode different routes, different times, thinking maybe lightning would strike twice." "You never told me that," Linda said. "I was embarrassed," John said. A billionaire taking public transportation in the hopes of running into a woman who had made it clear she wanted nothing to do with him. "I never made it clear that I wanted nothing to do with you," Linda protested. "I was just scared." "I know," John said, "but at the time, it felt like rejection." "Mama, why are we sitting here?" Aaron asked, climbing onto the bench between them. "This is where we wait for the bus, but we are not going anywhere. We are remembering," Linda said. "This is where I first saw John again, after a long time apart." "Before I was born?" Aaron asked. "Before you were born," Linda confirmed. "When I was very tired and working very hard, and I did not know that good things were about to happen." "What good things?" Aaron asked. "Meeting John again," Linda said. "Becoming friends, and then more than friends. Getting my new job. Building our family." "Are we a family now?" Aaron asked. Linda looked at John, seeing something in his expression that made her heart skip. "What do you think?" "I think we are," Aaron said. "We eat together and play together and take care of each other. That is what families do." "Aaron is right," John said, his voice careful and measured. "We are a family in every way that matters." "In every way that matters," Linda repeated. "Almost every way," John said, reaching into his coat pocket. "There is one thing missing." Linda's breath caught as John pulled out a small velvet box. "John, what are you doing?" "I am asking you to marry me," John said, opening the box to reveal a ring that was beautiful in its simplicity, a single diamond set in a platinum band, elegant and timeless. "I know we have talked about it before, but I want to ask properly this time." "Here?" Linda asked. "At a bus stop. Here," John confirmed, "where it all began, where I found you again, where we started building our life together." Linda looked at the ring, then at John, then at Aaron, who was watching the proceedings with wide eyes and obvious excitement. "Linda Morris," John said, "will you marry me? Will you let me be your partner in all things, your support in hard times, your celebration in good times? Will you let me be Aaron's father, officially and legally and forever?" Linda felt tears slide down her cheeks. "Yes, yes," John asked, as if he could not believe her answer. "Yes," Linda said, laughing through her tears. "Yes, I will marry you. Yes, I will let you be my partner and Aaron's father. Yes to all of it." John slipped the ring onto her finger, his hands shaking slightly. "I love you." "I love you too," Linda said. "What about me?" Aaron asked. "Do I get to be part of this?" "You are the most important part," John said, pulling a second box from his pocket. "This is for you." Aaron opened the box to find a small key on a chain, along with a star-shaped pendant. "What is it?" "The key is to our house," John said. "The house we are going to live in together, as a family, and the star is because your mama will always be my star, and now you will be too." "Our house?" Aaron asked. "If you want it to be," John said. "If you want us to be a real family, officially and forever." "I want that," Aaron said, hugging John tightly. "I want that so much." Linda watched them embrace, feeling her heart so full it might burst. This was not how she had imagined her life would turn out when she was 18 and desperate and running away from everything she had ever known, but it was better than anything she could have dreamed. "I have something for you too," John said to Linda, pulling out a third box. "Not an engagement gift, but a promise." Linda opened the box to find a single key and a star pendant identical to Aaron's. "What is this?" "The key is to our future," John said. "The house we will share, the life we will build, the dreams we will chase together, and the star is my promise that I will never let you forget how bright you are, how much you matter, how precious you are to me." "John," Linda said, her voice thick with emotion. "I do not want to give you an empire, Linda," John said. "I want to build a home with you, where no star ever has to hide again." Linda kissed him then, right there on the bus stop bench where their lives had collided and changed forever. It was a kiss that tasted of promises and possibilities, of love that had survived time and distance and fear. It was a kiss that said they were finally home. 1 year later, they would return to this same bench, married and happy and planning their future. John would carry Aaron on his shoulders while Linda walked beside them, her wedding ring catching the light as she pointed out the changes in the neighborhood. The bus stop was still there, unchanged and unremarkable to most people. But to them, it would always be the place where everything began, where love found a way to triumph over fear, where two people who had lost each other discovered that some things are worth waiting for, some things are worth fighting for, some things are worth believing in, even when belief seems impossible, and some love stories, if you are very lucky and very brave, get second chances. The morning sun streamed through the windows of their new house, casting golden shadows across the hardwood floors that Aaron loved to slide across in his socks. Linda stood in the kitchen, making coffee and watching John help Aaron with his backpack, the two of them engaged in their usual morning routine of checking homework and discussing the day's plans. It had been 6 months since their wedding, a small ceremony in the park where they had first talked about their future. Elena had walked Linda down the aisle, Frank had served as John's best man, and Aaron had been the ring bearer, taking his job so seriously that he had practiced for weeks. The house was perfect for their family, not too big, not too small, with a yard for Aaron to play in and a kitchen large enough for Sunday morning pancakes. John had wanted to buy something grander, but Linda had insisted on a home that felt like home, not a museum. "Mama," Aaron said, running into the kitchen with his backpack trailing behind him, "John says we can go to the Science Museum this weekend if I finish all my homework." "That sounds like a fair deal," Linda said, kneeling down to zip up his jacket. "Are you excited about show and tell today?" "Very excited," Aaron said. "I am going to tell everyone about how John adopted me, and now I have a real daddy." Linda's throat tightened with emotion. The adoption had been finalized the month before, a legal formality that had made their family official in the eyes of the law. But to Aaron, it meant everything. He had a father now, officially and permanently. "What are you going to tell them about having a real daddy?" Linda asked. "That it means someone loves you no matter what," Aaron said. "And that they help you with homework and teach you things and make you feel safe." "That sounds about right," Linda said, kissing his forehead. "Have a good day at school." "I will," Aaron said. "I love you, Mama." "I love you too, sweetheart." John appeared in the doorway, car keys in hand. "Ready to go, buddy." "Ready," Aaron said, taking John's hand. Linda watched them leave, feeling the familiar rush of gratitude that had become her new normal. She had a career she loved, a family that supported her, a home that felt like sanctuary. She had security and love and the kind of happiness she had never thought possible. Her phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. "Board meeting went great. Investors are thrilled with the diner's performance. You should be proud." Linda smiled, typing back, "Team effort. Everyone contributed." "Take some credit," Sarah replied. "You earned it." Linda was still adjusting to accepting praise, to believing that her success was deserved rather than accidental. But she was learning, with John's help, to recognize her own worth. She was getting ready for work when the doorbell rang. Through the window, she could see a delivery truck and a young man with a clipboard. "Linda Campbell?" the deliveryman asked. "Yes," Linda said, still getting used to her married name. "I have a delivery for you," he said, handing her a large box. "Signature required," Linda signed for the package, curious about what it might contain. She had not ordered anything, and it was not her birthday or any other special occasion. Inside the box, She found a beautiful photo album bound in leather with the Campbell family embossed on the cover. Inside were photos from their wedding, from family outings, from quiet moments at home. The last page contained a note in John's handwriting. "For my star, who shines brighter every day. Thank you for letting me be part of your story. Thank you for making me part of your family. Thank you for believing that love can conquer fear. All my love, always. John." Linda felt tears prick her eyes. Even after all these months, John still found ways to surprise her, to remind her how much she was loved. Her phone rang, and she smiled when she saw his name on the screen. "Did you get the package?" John asked without preamble. "I did," Linda said. "It is beautiful. Thank you." "I wanted you to have something to remember this year," John said. "Our first year as a family." "I do not need photos to remember," Linda said, "but I love having them." "Good," John said, "because there are going to be many more years to document." "Many more years?" Linda asked. "Many more years," John confirmed. "You are stuck with me now, Linda Campbell, for better or worse, in sickness and in health, for richer or poorer." "I remember those vows," Linda said, smiling. "I seem to recall saying them myself." "Best decision I ever made," John said, "asking you to marry me." "Best decision I ever made," Linda said, "was saying yes." "Even though it took you 10 years to get around to it?" John asked. "Especially because it took me 10 years, Linda said. "I needed those years to become someone worthy of your love." "You were always worthy," John said. "You just needed to believe it." "I believe it now," Linda said, "most days." "And on the days you do not?" John asked. "On those days, I have you and Aaron to remind me," Linda said. "Always," John said. "We will always remind you." After hanging up, Linda sat in her living room and looked through the photo album again. There they were, the awkward early days when they were still figuring out how to be a family, the comfortable middle period when routines had developed, the recent photos where they all looked relaxed and happy. She stopped at a photo from their wedding day, one that captured a moment she had forgotten. John was looking at her with such love, such joy, such complete adoration that it took her breath away. She was looking back at him with the same expression, both of them oblivious to the camera, lost in each other. That was what love looked like, she realized. Not the desperate passion of youth, but the steady flame of two people who had chosen each other, who had decided to build a life together despite the obstacles. Linda closed the album and got ready for work, her heart full of gratitude for the unexpected turns her life had taken. She had thought she was building a small, safe life for herself and Aaron. Instead, she had discovered that love could expand the boundaries of possibility, that partnership could multiply rather than divide happiness. She had learned that some dreams were worth waiting for, worth fighting for, worth believing in even when belief seemed impossible. And she had learned that sometimes, if you are very lucky and very brave, the bus you thought was taking you nowhere turns out to be taking you exactly where you need to be. Home, to love, to family, to the life you never knew you deserved, to the star you never knew you were meant to be. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more stories like this. Leave a like and comment below what you thought of the story. See you in the next video.